Okay, we'll call the meeting February 6, 2020 meeting of the City Council to order. Ms. Davenport, would you please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Watts.
Here.
Councilwoman Knappel.
Here.
Councilwoman Scott. Here. Councilman Ebel.
Here.
Councilman Petty.
Here.
Councilman Reese.
Here.
City Attorney Moore.
Here.
Thank you. Oh, we'll have approval of the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes from the public hearing and the regular session last time?
Mayor, they probably don't have the public hearing meetings, the meeting minutes, as I just did those this afternoon. But we only had a few people here, and they announced what the public hearing was for. There was no discussion, and then we adjourned.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Or is there any discussion? Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Then we'll go to consideration of bills over 2,000.
Motion to approve bills. Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Do we have any citizens tonight who would like to address citizens' concerns? It's your chance to let your voice be heard if that's the case. Okay, then we'll go on to mayor's report. It's a very brief, two different sections. I had emailed y'all yesterday that we are in the midst of doing some interviews, and as it worked out, we got to a point where we feel like we can add something to the agenda. So there are 3 items that we added after you got your packet. Number 4 is to request to separate city recorder CMFO position into 2 different positions, which would be the city recorder and a CMFO. The second is number 5, recommendation for CMFO position, temporary part-time employee. And number 6 is a recommendation for the city recorder. Just to point those out, we'll get to those under new business, but I wanted to let you know those have been added, and it's in your new agenda that was given out. Do we have a report from our city attorney? Oh wait, I'm sorry, one other thing. Some of you may have gotten this from the Tennessee Municipal League. I don't know, you probably heard when Governor Lee gave his State of the State address that he's proposing to get $100 million in a one-time funding for local governments. I'm going to give you a copy of this in case you haven't gotten it. It's a proposal at this point, so it has to go to the legislature, and you know how that might or might not work. If they were, the proposed amount for Carthage would be about $40,000 out of that $100 million. So they're divvying it up theoretically between all the counties and the cities. And you can go online and find all of the information you want to find about that one. So that's my report.
I don't have a formal report. I'm glad to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Okay, any questions? All right, we'll move on to any office reports.
In your packets, I've just added the account balances as of today. That is merely just when I pull the accounts up, what the balance showed, as they have not been reconciled. That's not a reconciled balance. So just wanted you guys to know that, and I have nothing else to report.
Thank you. Police Chief, Mr. Chief Davis.
As of right now, I don't have anything to report. Unless y'all have any questions, you've got my monthly report in front of you.
Okay. Any questions for the chief? Okay, thank you. Public Works, Mr. Les Fisher. Leslie?
I have nothing other than the basketball goal got tore down at the park, so that's all.
So we'll have to fix it one more time. Yeah.
What?
I guess we'll be fixing it one more time, right?
Yeah, either that or put up the new one.
Okay.
How long's that pole been there? How long since those have been replaced?
I
It was
Yeah.
put up, I went to work here in '85. I think it was put up in '87 when they built that park down there.
To make one more substantial, it'd be harder to tear up, maybe.
I don't know.
That's a long time though.
That narrow
Yeah, pretty good.
back-
It was rusted.
back had
Yeah, it
rust
was
on
rusted. I
a little
looked at
bit,
it.
and when they worked up there, it
Bad
just
rust.
snapped. It wasn't really nobody's fault, you know. It's just old.
So we're in the midst of looking for a new
Yeah,
pole to
says
replace
dries
it,
up,
so.
when something over there to dig it up, I have to dig that post up to get it out. But other than that,
Well, we are looking, can we, I mean, while we're at it, because They're gonna be the same age, can we go and just replace both goals?
Might be a safety issue if we
And the
don't.
poles?
Yeah, because if that gets pulled down,
Someone could have
it's a
gotten hurt.
liability, yeah.
They
were put at the same time, they
Anyway.
were-
Okay. Okay. So you wanna look into both of those and? Okay. All righty, we'll do that. Thank you. Ms. Teresa, the water plant.
As I mentioned last night, we got the wind damage. We're still waiting for the bids to come in on the roof repair. But
Okay.
that's all we got going on down there right now.
Are y'all getting any leaks through that right now?
No, it's more of an eave problem.
Yeah.
Kind of lifted up the front there. You see it from the road and kind
Okay.
of flipped it back, but it's not leaking.
Okay.
Wastewater, Mr. Steve?
I really don't have anything unless y'all got some questions.
Okay. Chief Hyatt, Fire Department?
Yes, ma'am. I apologize that I don't have a written report for y'all, but the National Fire Incident Reporting System portal is down and has been for a few days. Hopefully I'll have it, get it to you. The annual report is well as a monthly report. We had roughly 20 calls in January. And I need to let you know that engine one is in the shop. I don't have an estimate on repairs yet. It's in Murfreesboro at Mid-South Emergency. I am working with upcoming development on the grant that y'all approved. It is time consuming and I don't have everything they want from me yet, but I'm working on it. And I need to make you aware that the Assistance Firefighters Grant will open later this year. The rules are now not out on that yet, but it has historically been a 5% match. And I'd like y'all's approval to go ahead and apply for that with upcoming development district as well. If we look at SCBA and another breathing compressor, it'd be under 200,000. It won't be a lot under, or at least I think it'll be under 200. With a 5% match, that's about $10,000 local money. So if y'all will approve that, I'll pursue that grant as well.
Yeah, do we need to make a motion for
Can we
that?
do that under new business, or can we do it now?
I think you can go ahead and do it now.
Do I hear a motion to that effect?
Motion to look into it.
To allow the
Second.
chief and UCDD to apply for the grant, is that what you're asking?
Yes,
Chief?
ma'am.
Okay. And what's the name of the grant again?
An AFG, Assistance Firefighters Grant.
So the motion would be to allow the chief and UCDD to apply for AFG grant for equipment. Okay. Do we have a second to
I'll
that?
say.
I second.
Okay, any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, chief.
Thank y'all. We've got training going on, so y'all kind of information, I'm gonna get back down there to that.
Okay.
See you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have, one of our engineers was supposed to be here, or two of them tonight. One is here, and I think the other's on the way. There's some traffic problems, so hopefully he'll get here. But Mr. Steve Jones, with the engineer with the Turkey Creek Water Plant, is also the one who's going to be, has applied for our grant, our state revolving fund loan for the water line on Futrell Alley. Mr. Evan White is also here, who's with our walking track. And do you want to bring us up to date on that, Mr. White? Any news on that?
The track, we're waiting on, I guess y'all are gonna do it in a few minutes, but, contract, and then we'll get the survey done on it. We've done an aerial, I brought that. The mayor requested, since we already flown it, for y'all to see that. And then I guess the fire hall will be in a minute, but, that's where we are. As soon as we get permission to start, we'll get going on with it.
Okay, we have that contract for later then on that. Okay, great, thank you.
May I make a suggestion, question, whatever, statement? Particularly since we're trying to do the Market Fest and it involves being on the inside of trucks, you know, loading trucks or unloading trucks being on the inside of the track. Should we beef up the paving at one spot, like where you go in, like have an entryways? Because if it's regular walking track depth, I don't think it would hold up well to trucks going across it.
Yeah, if you've got one location, we can make an entrance.
Where, when you go right in the parking area, I would think, you know, beef that up a little bit, and we can somehow make sure that we've got posts that say this where you go or something.
Okay, all right, good suggestion, thank you, Sam. Well, I think the chief just talked about the CDBG grant that he's applying for the equipment, so that would be that one. That's, I think Marcy's helping him with that at UCBD. Then we have unfinished business. The first item is we had Mr. Moore, Attorney Moore, sent a, what would you call that? The
Memo?
memo. You sent a memo of his legal opinion. You all got a copy. If there's any further discussions you want to do of that, this would be the time. If you don't, you can move on, but that's your, if you have anything else to discuss on that. If not, we will move on to the second item, which is our young John Kelly Lish is here to update us.
Do we want to discuss this at all? Or, I mean, if anybody has anything to bring or not. Did everybody get to read this?
Yeah.
I mean, what do y'all want?
I'll see which one.
This is this one.
Everything I got full.
I just want to hear verbally what y'all want to do on it.
Okay, yeah, I got that.
I didn't see anything glaring, so.
Yeah. Just, do we want to call for an investigation or just feel like it's just something to roll through?
Okay.
I think from the tone of what has been told us that there's not anything that he's willing to go after, so it'd probably be a waste of even more money, and we've wasted a whole lot on legal since this term, this office has come in.
So are we okay to move on, or what do you,
Perhaps instead of an investigation, we can request a list of changes that can be made to the description and the charter moving forward to make amendments. So if we could at least start looking into that.
Yeah, and I guess, is Mr. Jekyll gonna be here tonight?
He's gonna be here tonight with some suggestions. I
Yeah.
think they've been working on that.
And I haven't seen what they're suggesting, but it's my understanding that MTS has gone through the charter and has made some suggested changes that, from my conversation briefly with Mr. Jekyll, would affect the administration's, how the administration of the town runs, and would, if the other part of the equation is looking at the personnel policy, and if you decide to make changes to that, it may coincide with the charter changes. I'm glad to look at that, but maybe the starting point might be to hear the charter discussion, hear what their suggestions are, and then look at the policy and proceed that way.
I know you looked at the policy. Do you see anything in there that might be helpful to us to make things a little clearer, a little?
The personnel policy? I don't think the personnel policy is really the primary source of the problem. I mean, the way it is set up now, the mayor is responsible for administering the personnel policy. But the way you have supervisors report directly to the council now, you know, I think even under the existing policy, you could have more input into personnel matters than maybe has happened in the past, if that's the way you want to proceed. But again, if you look at a substantial charter change, as far as the structure is concerned, that it may go another direction. So I think look at the charter change first, and then look at the personnel policy after you've kind of made the decision as to what the charter is going to look like. But even in the interim, I think just communicating to the employees that you know, they have a voice through their supervisors here to the council is maybe the way to kind of bridge that until the changes are made.
What about, and just as far as administration goes, this office up here, who's the supervisor with that? Is that gonna be basically your city recorder that reports on that, or is that, I mean,
To whom?
as far as the administrators, everything that's being administrated up here as far as city recorder, all your office personnel up here, who does that's kind of where we're having the issue. And like I said, I get what you're saying in here, and I just want to fix the problem. It's happened twice. I don't want to have a third time or fourth time or fifth time. It's a continual problem, and so that's what I'm looking for. Is who's their supervisor? Is that directly the mayor, so the mayor voices their concerns, or would be the city recorder?
Yeah, the language that's cited in the memo is the only reference to the mayor's supervisory authority over the officers. And that does include the recorder, but of course, the recorder serves at the pleasure of the council and is appointed by the council and is here at the meetings. And so, the council has the opportunity to hear those issues directly from the recorder, and further, no disciplinary action can be taken by the mayor, except there is a provision for a temporary suspension of an officer, but that hasn't occurred to my knowledge in the past. So I think this council just communicating directly with the recorder and with the supervisors is the short-term answer until a charter change is made. And of course, the mayor is here on a day-to-day basis, and she's got certain responsibilities and duties that she needs to do to handle the executive function that she serves, and then to bring things to the council for consideration. But as far as supervision of the authority, of the employees, she's responsible for administering the policy, which you can change. But considering where you are in the discussion tonight, I'd start with the charter and work from there.
Any further discussion on that? And again, Mr. Jekyll is supposed to be here tonight with some suggestions that I think he and the legal department have gone through.
I do have one thing I want to say. I appreciate you, and that brings clarity to the situation. But it seems that position is kind of a difficult position. It's kind of between the mayor and the council. And so we've had two people leave because of difficulties, maybe a breakdown in communication between the council and the mayor. So and hopefully dividing it a little bit might help that, but that's where I would like to see help, a better connection between the mayor and the council, so that person maybe isn't right in the middle of difficult situations.
My other concern is and I can ask the mayor this right now. Are you telling employees not to talk to the council at all?
No.
Are you asking them not to talk to the council?
Employees in general?
Any employees?
There was a situation where we were talking about the W-2s recently, and I asked an employee if she would possibly talk to the attorney to find out what was going on there.
Okay, so why would you ask them not to speak to the council?
I asked if they would speak to the attorney and just get the facts first.
Did they request to speak to the council?
They did speak to the council.
Okay, and what was your recommendation to them?
I'm not following you. From my point of view, I was trying to communicate that the attorney had some information to share, and would that person please check with the attorney to see if they would share that. I think in this situation, that employee and I have talked through things, and hopefully everything has been worked out. We even had a conversation with the attorney there. So I'm hoping everything got worked out in that conversation. If not, then we can have another conversation.
Okay. Do you see what's wrong with that though? I'm not trying to pick on you. I'm just saying, do you see what's wrong with that as far as that's why we're here we're not here to pick on each other. Like there's lanes. Somebody will come to me and ask me something, and I say, you need to probably call the mayor, because it's not my responsibility. It's not my lane. Mm-hmm. But as far as the things that the employee was talking about, that was something that came directly from the council requesting help. We specifically requested a specific person help with a specific situation to which there were specific problems, and we saw that. And in the middle of that,
Are you talking about the W-2s?
I'm talking about the W-2s, and in the middle of that, you told, we wanted to know how that was going. We specifically asked that, and you told an employee
Well-
not to relay that information to us. I mean, do you
I think
understand?
part of the problem here, Councilman, is there may be a breakdown in communication between you and me and some of the others, and I would really appreciate if you would just come to me personally when you need, answers questions about myself or what I'm doing. I would really appreciate that. Maybe that would help our communication, if we could just have a good sit-down talk about what's really happening here.
I don't see a problem with discussing it here.
Well, I'm just saying, I think things have been put out there without first coming to me to verify. I'm talking about letters and things that you have put out there that were not run by me first to see how accurate it might
The
be.
reason I can't run things by you is just based on sunshine laws. I can't run them by them either, and I don't. And it's just that's why we all talk in front of everybody. Is
So what
so
would you
that
like to see me do?
one thing I agree with you on communication. We need to be communicating better.
Okay.
But we're supposed to all be a team here. You are part of that team, okay? And so if the council votes to do something, you got to carry that out. Now you have the right to veto that as well, and the council can override your veto. You got to administer it.
Okay.
We just want to see you administer what we vote on, and or half the time it's not my vote either. You know, I've voted down half the time, and that's okay. The point being is that's the way the council works, and we got to play our roles in the way it works.
Okay.
And we want that happening.
Can
We don't want.
Can you give me an example of some time I have not carried out what you voted for?
I mean, I don't want to get into semantics here, and I do not want to draw us out. But I
Well,
can
I'm
give you
just trying to
several
understand.
examples, and I don't want to have it as an argument.
Okay.
But I'll give you the first example, and I don't want to get into the discussion of back and forth of it. But 1 year ago, when we had this whole issue here with this line going to the sewer from the landfill, we had something as a council. We voted on something, and it was not carried out. And to that, we had a lot of issues and a breakdown of communication between us and the county. And the thing is I see where you're coming from. I see your care, and I see what was happening. But the way it was done was wrong, and that was the first of many. And so it comes down to like.
Okay, may I address that?
I didn't think we were going back and forth on all that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what we're doing. So
I'll let you
Just
address
not to
it. And
draw
I'm
it
not
out.
gonna. I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to respond because I do not want to go back and forth. But go ahead and address it. I think you have the right to.
just in that case, we were putting the positions of all of our sewer plant operators in jeopardy. We were putting ourselves in jeopardy with EPA because we were in violation of our permit with TDEC by doing what we had done. That was not treated, it was not tested, it was coming directly into our sewer plant and into the Cumberland River. And that's a major violation. So in a situation like that, where I know we are violating the law, I am supposed by the charter to uphold the law. And our sewer plant operators were concerned they could have lost their license if something hadn't stopped that. So I don't really want to get into a back and forth because
No,
we're trying
I'm not
to.
going to get in a back and forth.
Okay, can we move on to John Kelly then and just let him have a chance to? I mean, we're going to look at the charter. Mr. Jekyll is bringing, hopefully, if he gets here through the traffic, he's bringing he and the legal team down there look through the charter to see some things in there aren't even legal according to state law. So they've gone through.
I think that when you look at the charter change, I'm right there with you. What I'd say in the meantime, what us as a council would like to is, we'd like to hear positive things from the employees up here. It's not, the thing is, it's not just, if it was one person and one person,
Well,
that's a personality conflict. But do you understand that? And I'm not being ugly, but do you understand that it's several people saying the same thing in different situations? And so we want a less toxic environment up here. I mean, it's hurtful to our
I
employees, and
understand.
there are
I
employees.
understand what you're saying. Perhaps some employees have not had a chance to talk to you that feel better about what their situation is. But could we not
I've served some employees that think it's a great situation. You're exactly right.
Well, could we not prolong this and just let us
I'm
finish this
fine.
off?
I don't have anything else to say.
I think Mr. Jekyll is gonna offer up a workshop where we can deal with the charter, we can deal with the amendments in a setting where we can just sit down and talk about what's needed. So he's already offered that up for everybody in fact, to set up a workshop when he comes here, which will give everybody an opportunity. Will that be okay for everyone if we do that? Look at the charter and,
We've got to do something,
okay.
because it's toxic.
Okay, John Kelly, I'm so sorry for you. Oh, he's still here, okay. He's ready.
He didn't go far.
All right.
Hello, my name is John Kelly Lish. Last month when I was here, we talked about the dog park itself, how it would look and where it would be. I was asked to get signatures from people in the neighborhood and promise their donations. So what I did is I went to the 12 houses that were closest to where the dog park would be. 9 of them supported it and 3 of them were not home. Then I made a poll on the Citizens of Smith County Facebook page, and I got 6 no's, 11 I'm fine either ways, and 125 yeses for the park. As for the promissory donations, Cumberland Supply is donating the fence, which is $4,155. The park sign is donated by Custom Graphics, which is $720. Safeway and Smith County Drugs are donating $100 each. Smith County Animal Clinic is donating $1,000. And Smith County Monument Company is donating an appreciation monument for people donating $1,000 or more. I would also like to know if the city would be donating anything as well. Thank you.
And you have a possible location that you looked at?
The one I talked about last time was here.
Okay, could you just refresh our memory so we...
It's the location right across the street where the walking trail is, right next to the Smith County pools. And it would probably be right there in the top corner next to the, there's a little tree up there that I think would be nice to have in one of the pens. And it's a nice flat area. We went up there and checked it just a few days ago, a little bit after it had rained. And it was still wet, and I'm not really sure about how the FEMA survey is how that's gonna work, but it's, I think, is the best location in that field, as far as dryness goes.
Are we talking about, and since we've got a map, could we, maybe they have a point where it, does that have the proposed dog park?
You wanna show him?
Here's the large map if you want to take a look. See, this is, there we go. This is industrial, and this would be Jefferson over here.
So it would be,
Well, I'm sorry, okay, no, it's this way. Here's the trailer there, and that's it up, and this is industrial.
Okay.
So it's that way, yeah. There we go. The park, where's the parking lot here?
the park would be about, it would start about right here and go down.
You show 'em. Okay, there's the parking lot at the bottom.
It would start about right here, go down through here, up here, and around this little tree right here, and then divide it into 2 pens right there.
Excellent.
Now, have you taken into consideration like future development of the park around it, as far as, implementing, being able to implement other things around it after it's built?
That's one reason I put it in the top corner, just because it was the furthest, it is really close to that trailer, but it was the furthest from all the other houses around it. And one thing is, it would be away, because there's gonna be dogs here. I think you said something about there being maybe some, items like food stages and stuff like that, and it'd be furthest away from them. And for further development on the park itself, if all this doesn't get done, I'm hoping that I can get hopefully some other Eagle Scouts projects in my troop, and they would work on it and progress it further and further, kind of like Block 7 is doing.
Yeah.
And, county replacing items whenever they are needed and stuff like that.
Another question I had, have you, as far as yearly operating cost, do you foresee that being, did you do any budgeting on that as far as that goes, or do you feel like the maintenance would just be mowing?
Yeah, well, the lot's already being mowed, so that won't really change much. The only thing that is really major is the feces bags. They would need to be replaced and, just open the box, put in a new box of bags and stuff like that.
So having trash pick up and then
Yeah,
bags, that's pretty much, besides that's pretty much our only operating cost. Okay.
Is that gonna be city responsibility to replace those things?
Yeah, I guess it would be, you know, we want to, I mean, not to pick it up, but to,
Right.
provide them, you know.
We're gonna, or
Can
we'll
we-
be the ones responsible for if the fence breaks or whatever.
Well, and there'll be more weed eating, won't there?
Yeah.
If there's a
Some more weed
fence,
eating.
it's
I was
not-
like, what if
but I
the
wouldn't
fence
think it'd be a
breaks or
lot.
whatever? I mean, who's
Yeah.
who's
Well, I'd
Who fixes
say
that?
too, cause you're weeding, I mean, it's gonna add about an hour weed eating. So it's an hour labor per week or however often they do it, bags, but it still sounds like, I mean, if we donated, you know, the land for it to be, it's a city park, it still seems like it's a pretty minimal
I think so,
ongoing
too. It is
expense,
minimal.
you know.
I'm just worried about like,
Typically, if something gets donated, I think the city or the county then maintains it after
Right.
that, so. I
well, I'm
would
just saying like
see
if the
us
fence were to
maintaining
break or whatever, you
Yeah, I
know,
think
something.
we'd fall under responsibility for it.
As far as a business recruitment, things like that, amenities like that are a huge plus for our community. So if we can do it with minimal expense, I think it's a win-win situation.
it.
Yeah.
I think so too.
That's how it feels like. I mean, he's got a lot of volunteer money going into it.
I'm really impressed by the amount of money that you've got donated so far. When can we move on this? Is my question.
Could he teach me about fundraising?
There you go.
He'd get a badge just for that, couldn't
Pretty
he?
good.
Make a
Yeah.
job here.
And I think you've accounted for any future play equipment or whatever might, they'd still be ready. So, right. You could probably make a motion.
Can we, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and do this.
I'll second it.
Okay, now what, you're going
His
to motion
question
to
is-
allow,
The proposed dog park,
to allow him to use
Yes.
public land for that
yes.
proposed.
Public land is used for the
Okay.
proposed dog park.
In the place that he's.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
He does have a question as to whether or not the city would make a monetary donation.
Oh, yeah.
So could we address that in that same motion, or does it need to be a separate one?
Let me ask, if you've broken down,
I think maybe a separate one.
Let's do a separate
it
one.
seemed like, did you give us monetary amounts last month? I believe you,
I
it was
would
in there, what, I thought,
Yeah.
and I don't remember how much it was, or if it was gonna be an influence or whatever.
You can probably still tell us what your monetary need is after your donations. Can you tell us that?
Like the price of the park overall.
Mm-hmm.
Probably $15,000 to $20,000, and most of that's already covered with just, which that's the goal, to get that much stuff inside of it. But after the fence is built and there's enough playground equipment to be a dog park, it can stop there or keep going, depending.
Can I
But
make
your
a?
initial goal.
No, go ahead.
I
Sorry.
would just say your initial goal was what I was asking for, and you've raised most of that.
What I'd like to see, this is why I want to separate the motions, is I'd like to see a spreadsheet of the donations, like what your goal is on donations, and then what's your goal for government donations. Because the more we can get from the private sector to support this, I think the better off we'll be. I think we as a city, we can help out with with the land, and then obviously the ongoing maintenance, because we'll have basic donation in that. So that's kind of, that's where I'd like to definitely see that.
So we've got a motion on the floor to.
And we had a second.
And a second. Is there any discussion about the motion to allow them to put the dog park on public land in the place that he has indicated? Any discussion about that?
I'm good with it.
If not, all in favor of that?
Aye.
Okay, and all opposed? All right, Don Kelly, you're set for that, and you may want to come back and see how your funds are going and address this at another time or tonight, whatever you want to do as far as.
He's gonna be investing a lot. I'd like to see the city put something in
Yeah, for sure.
financially, because it's a big investment for
Okay.
him.
How much are you?
It's gonna benefit the
Yeah,
city.
I just like to see a good spreadsheet, that way we can see percentages.
The other factor in here is there's a dog park grant that we were going to apply for last year and didn't make it in time. It's $25,000, and we have to apply this month. I think it's the end of February, but it wouldn't come until the end of the year, but it could help at the tail end with some of your expenses if we were to get that.
Or an extension of.
Yeah.
When are you looking to have this park up?
I'm not set on a date because things could happen while building it.
Okay.
I'm hoping to have it done, or at least in the middle of being done by summertime, or the end of summertime. And It might be done before or after that.
When does that grant come
Well,
in if we did
It
it?
wouldn't come to fruition to the end of the year, but it could be used at the end. For instance, you said there might be other Eagle Scouts working on this that might help them to extend it. Is it gonna be divided or just one large?
It'll be
area?
2 40x40s divided.
Oh, you are gonna divide it, okay. All right.
So we could, I mean, what's the match on that grant though?
No, it's not.
It's
It's
just
just almost
for-
like an
it's-
award.
it's 100%.
It's Randy Boyd's
Okay.
group that has done it the last 2 years, and this will be the last year they do it.
Well, I would like to motion that we apply for it, and I mean, if we have a space and we get it, we can always, add things into it.
Upgrade.
Yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
yeah. And it's one of those kind of like your thing, it's, when we were gonna apply for it last year, we got about 30 letters from people saying, yes, we'd like to have a dog park. And we still have those, so it's community support. It's kind of like the community that comes on board, but they told us last time that they would have loved to have seen Carthage get it. So if we apply this time,
So to be clear, can you explain to him where he stands right now? He's ready to go to the
okay,
next step.
you got permission to use the land if you want to start, but you are gonna have to go to the planning commission, the next step, because it is in a flood area, and just let them tell you what you need to prepare it properly, and there will be a flood permit that you'll have to apply for, okay? But other than that, once you clear them, you're good to go start it, as far as I.
Is there a fee for that flood permit?
I don't know, it's minimal, we haven't
Permit.
done.
The permit itself is not, it's what you had, the surveying and everything to make sure that it's not going to affect anything, that's where the cost would be. And I'm not sure what that cost would be for this, because you're not actually building a structure, you are developing, so it has to go through FEMA for development. But as far as I'd probably have a better idea if you were like building a building, but as far as not building a building, just a development, I'm not sure what the cost of surveying and being able to get a certificate of no elevation, or making sure it's out of the flood zone and it's not causing any other stuff. That's a little bit different certification than you would get if you were building a building. So I'm not sure what the surveying cost of that would be. Do you have any idea, Mr. Moore?
I don't know what the cost would be, and if it's not in the floodway, it's probably fine. If it's in the, if it's not in the floodway, it's probably fine. But the cost of the survey, that might be another, I don't know if there's any resources that the town has to help with preparing the survey, or if there's a local surveyor here that might be willing to.
Roger, you might could research this, going back, and I'm gonna guess it was somewhere around 1986 or 1987, when I was wanting to do a small addition to my garage, and I am in the flood zone. Then the inspector was then Mr. Rollins, and he reviewed it and said that if there is an escape way for the water to go through, which in the case of a chain link fence or equipment like this, it would not impede the water, that there was not a problem with it now. Knowing FEMA, they could have come up with something since then. So,
I don't think there would necessarily be a problem, but you have to prove to FEMA in the certificate that there's not a problem with what you're doing. I think that's what it's all about. So it's not necessarily a problem, but you don't know it's not a problem until you get the survey and you have to fill out this certificate proving to them that it's not, what you're gonna do is not going to be a problem.
Mr. Moore, did you?
Basically.
Well, and one idea that the town could do the survey, I mean, particularly since it's gonna be on town property and ultimately benefit, so that might be one initial contribution the town can make to the process, is to go ahead and hire a surveyor to do that, and then coordinate that presentation with the planning commission.
I might make a suggestion. We're going to do some redoing on the walking track anyway, and I think, did I see the person here that's going to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, there you are, yeah.
It'll be part of it, I mean.
Yeah.
I almost think he's out of it right there, but I'll have to check.
I think.
Being that far up.
I believe he's still in the AE, I believe he is, unfortunately.
But is your survey part of what you're
Yeah, I've gotta do
talking-
it for the track. I was
Okay,
gonna
so
put
we
a
should
fence.
probably
That's what I was
incorporate
getting at, maybe possibly
Right.
How much
They need to take care of both.
additional expense do you expect that to cause if we had you do
The
that?
fence, it won't be, I mean, very little, I mean, because we gotta do it for the track anyways.
Yeah.
And maybe provide just a description of the area that would cover that, yeah, that'd be.
Okay,
Yeah,
there you go.
and I'm not sure, you could probably add this as in your survey, on that same certificate, as just portions of something of the track, since it's all in the same, it's all the same lot, it's all the same
Yeah,
registered
we're
lot.
surveying the whole,
Yeah,
the
right,
whole part.
right. So you could add, would that be, I think you could, don't you,
Mm-hmm.
as far as the, okay. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do we need to make a motion to approve him to go ahead and do that?
We actually got a motion on the table right now, as far as the, applying for the grant.
Yeah, but this is totally different. This is,
Yeah.
are we gonna allow for any additional expense for him to do this preparation for the dog party?
I mean, we
We
can,
have
I
to take
think,
care of one motion.
yeah,
before
we'll
we
take
do
care of
that
this and
one.
then, yeah, I mean, we can.
I thought it was already to the point of, about the monetary, but, okay.
But,
So we do have a motion.
do have a motion, we don't have a second, but it was just my
I'm
motion.
sorry, I
No,
thought
it's
we'd already-
okay, it's okay.
Second.
Okay, second, okay. So any discussion about applying for the dog park grant? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we are going to apply for that.
So now you can,
Now yours.
now you're good to go.
Do we need to make a motion to, may I? Do we need to make a motion that that city cover any additional expense for the engineering company to do the work to lay out the dog?
I'm not, Mr. White, clarify, you were gonna do that anyway as part of
Yes,
the
we're
grant.
doing
weren't
it as
you?
part of.
Okay,
So it's
all
in the
right,
grant
that's
money
just all,
already.
okay.
Yeah,
I got nothing to say about it.
that's good to know. All right, any other discussion about, for right now? Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
As a leader in that, what kind of time frame are y'all looking at
For,
to give him the go-ahead to start
I
digging?
think we just did, well, once
I'm
you,
playing with this, you gotta
It's-
get this first, right?
It would have to go, he'd have to do that, then it's gotta go before the planning commission, the planning commission will approve it, and they'll bring it before the council, so, I mean, it could.
wait a minute,
Or
I'm
does
sorry,
it
are you
have to go
talking
back
about,
before the council
are
after
you
the
talking
planning
about-
commission goes through it?
wait, are we talking about the
He's,
walking part? What are we talking about here? Are you talking about the walking?
no, he's talking about the
Oh,
dog
okay,
park,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
all right.
No, once we approve the planning commission, then it doesn't have to, but to come to the planning commission, we will have to have a site plan, you know, to come to, which will be drawn by him, and that will include, I'm guessing that will include, you're gonna draw one site plan for both, is that what?
Yes.
You just do one site plan and add that, and this being a grant now,
Wait.
walking track,
Oh, that, okay,
Just-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just thinking,
Talk about that.
this being a grant with walking track, if he's including this in that same site plan, that being a grant, will that,
Well, no, he can't include the, no, he's
Yeah, I'll
not
just
talking about
put-
that.
I'll put fence by others,
okay, all right,
or
that
dog
works.
park by others.
Okay, that works.
Do you have
Yeah.
a time frame of when you think?
I just
I
didn't
mean,
want
it's
to-
gonna take a couple of months, cause we gotta shoot it and then I've
Well,
got to
well, wait a
actually
minute,
design
though,
the whole track.
that's different from him. Once we say, give the okay here, and it goes through the planning commission, then can he start?
The planning
No,
commission
it's-
can't until
it's
the
a-
FEMA thing gets
Just to
done.
reiterate,
Well, no, I mean,
He
he's
has to
gotta
have
get,
the survey.
Just
he's
to
gotta
re-
have the survey.
yeah, just to reiterate, it's survey, planning commission, and then green light. And so that's pretty much where, am I correct on that?
So
Okay.
y'all are thinking 2 more months
So, I'm sorry,
For the
Mr. White, are you,
survey?
after
Mr. White, are you talking about 2 months
for the
before you do
survey.
the survey? or-
No, I mean, I'm saying, we'll survey it when we get the contract.
Okay, so we got
Then
the
we
contract
actually gotta-
signed tonight.
I mean, I wanna go one time, so,
Yeah.
like, I've gotta get the walking track through planning also, because of FEMA.
Right.
So, I'm gonna do it all at one time, so I've gotta get all the walking track done.
Okay.
I'll add the fence to it and go one time, so.
Okay, tonight we've got the contract assigned for
Right.
you, so once that's assigned, then you can go to the planning commission with that, right?
Yes, once I'm done, but I'm saying it'll
Okay,
take
so-
us a little while to design the entire walking track.
Okay.
So
so.
I think that's what we're asking is timeline as far as when you can come to the planning commission
Right,
with
2 to
that.
3, I'm gonna say 2 to 3 months.
I think so.
I have, okay, let's just clarify, because even though, I think it's 2 different things, isn't it? The walking track doesn't necessarily mean he can't start.
He's
his
doing it
project.
all at once.
Yeah, he's doing it all the time.
Unless we want to have a separate survey that the city would get done, so that he could move ahead. I wouldn't think that's gonna
Is there
cost
is there a timeline for you, for the project? Okay.
If we have some, I had someone suggested to me that may donate a survey,
Okay,
but I've not contacted them yet. So if they would do that,
we could go ahead.
can we go ahead with that?
Yes.
Yeah,
And then go before the planning
We got a
commission?
bit,
Yes.
Right, just make sure the person that does it understands the FEMA part of it. That's the
Okay.
hangup. That's the federal part we can't get past.
Okay, so do they need like a special certification or?
Yeah, they have to be able to, they have to have a special certification,
Okay.
or at least,
just the elevation will take care of it, won't it?
well, the form has to be filled out and signed by somebody that with a seal and their sign across, their name across it. They have to be
We can-
familiar with it. Not all surveyors are familiar with filling out this, because
Okay.
I don't.
How about if we find a list for you
Okay.
of those people who are certified, and then that'll
Okay.
help you out.
Or would it be easier if they've got somebody in mind
Right.
that would donate, find out if they are certified?
Right,
Okay.
that would
That'd
be.
speed
That'd
it
be
up a
great.
little bit.
Okay.
That's fine.
If they have any questions, they can call, and
Okay.
well, I mean, I'm not a specialist on it, but I'll be able to talk to them about it.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Moore?
Well, and I know that if you have somebody donate, that'd be great, but I think an engineer may be reluctant to put their signature on a FEMA survey for free. I mean, there's liability risk there. So if the town wants to move it forward, I think maybe the best thing would be the town to authorize a survey.
Okay.
Hire the surveyor. Again, I know I'm spending the town's money in this respect, but if that could be in the form of a contribution, I think that would move it forward quicker than.
Okay.
Can I ask one last question? Is there any way we can move that timeline up?
Well, what it is once she signs the agreement,
Okay.
it has to go back to TDEC. They got 30 days to approve it, so
Okay.
I really ain't allowed, I'm allowed to go, but we gotta wait on, I mean, and then when we submit it to them.
Gotcha.
they got
So you're
30 days.
you're
Every
waiting
time
on
you submit
TDEC.
something to them, they got 30 days, so you can see how it gets drug out. But
Clarify for me again, is this inside the walking track or outside the walking track? Oh, it's inside.
With this surveyor, find out if he's FEMA.
it's inside.
Okay.
How long would
What
it
if
take you to
we
find out from that surveyor?
Evan, what if we
Even
retained
we
you
do
just
it-
to do
I
a
just
survey on the
have to
dog
phone her
part
and call her.
separately from the walking track?
Just do the fence in there?
Do that.
I mean, we could.
What could the
Information,
time,
if we
what
can
would the
go ahead and get
timeline
it
look
done,
like
I'd
for
love
that?
to
Okay.
rope around tomorrow.
Well, it depends, when y'all's next meeting?
The
March
planning
fifth.
commission, yeah.
Plan is next week.
Planning is the 12th.
March fifth.
Next Wednesday.
So the next one?
Yeah.
Cause you gotta have it in to you how many weeks early?
Yeah, so you're looking at, Stephen, you're looking at about, about 5 weeks is probably your earliest time to go.
Right.
As far as getting that in, we usually say 15 days beforehand if you get in planning, and that's what the rules say, but I think we could probably, this is not gonna be a big building or anything like this, so I think if it was even a little closer to that, we would be okay with us, I think, as far as the planning commission goes.
Could we let the planning commission and Mr. White and Mr. Lish work on this together and see if you could get some compromise that would work, so we can move forward with his plan?
Let's go ahead and retain him then.
I would make a motion to retain Mr. White's company to do a separate survey on the dog park.
Second.
So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Second.
And Mr. White, you're okay? You can do that? Okay. All right, any discussion about that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, so I think we saw that. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we're kind of sidetracked.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Okay, moving right along to dumpsters. Mr. Councilman Reese. You
Okay.
have some solution, I think you found. so-
yes, I have some good news on the dumpster.
Okay.
Well, I guess. Mr. Carter and Miss Nancy have agreed to lease the space behind their store, not beside the store, for only one trash bin, and she emphasized one. $200 per month for the rent. The person would be responsible for keeping the area around it clean, no trash thrown out or anything like that. One person would be responsible for paying them the $200 each month, and she, Mr. Stites, would write up a lease agreement stating all this.
Okay, thank you. So that may be a solution for some of the folks.
It's
who
one
are-
big trash
Okay.
bin.
Okay.
Like one, like trash bin or like a dumpster?
Well, you said bin, right? Didn't it? What they said?
Dumpster.
Well, that's a
Yeah, yeah.
dumpster. I'm sure that's what they
I
meant.
just, I think that would be the one thing I'd.
Well, they'll
want
have
for
that
sure.
in the lease
Yeah.
agreement first of all, because they got to write
Yeah.
that up.
And she wants a
wouldn't be
lease
paying
agreement
anyone
that they're gonna write up, I
to-
think is what you're saying.
And who's gonna,
Like
city gonna
200
pay
a month.
for,
No, no, it's a private
okay,
contract.
like all the businesses are gonna chip in and
Chip
pay
in.
for it?
And one person.
Yeah,
pay
I'd
it.
have to go through a whole.
Would the
How
city
many
pay the
people?
rent for the
Well,
placement
no,
of it?
no, she
It'd
wants
have
it
to go, well, I
privately
mean,
with whoever wants to
We'd be
use it, is what
looking
she's
at
saying.
everything.
So it's a private contract.
On this
The
street
city would not
side.
be-
So you'd be looking at, I know, one, two, three
Then
three
we split it.
businesses
Yeah.
right now, and then potential more businesses, basically splitting it up. And,
But the one person be responsible to get the money to them,
yeah,
not
that's,
five different people.
what also, I mean, if we had a bunch of people in it, I think it'd be worth it, but that $200 a month,
Yeah.
I mean, there's places that don't pay rent for an entire building $200 a month right now.
But that's what they offer.
Yeah.
That's her
And
private
honestly, that's
offer.
gonna cut down our parking that's already at a premium back
Yeah.
there.
So I'm wondering,
What about, there's an empty lot across from the fire hall, that's ours,
like, where,
right there, like that empty lot, if you just keep walking the corner, if you were standing in the fire hall looking right across the street, that empty lot's ours.
yeah.
We
I
could
mean, I
pour a
think-
pad and put something there.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I think the city needs to make money off of it, obviously, because I mean, the city's providing the trash service as far as it goes. I mean, they need to make some sort of a revenue just to offset the cost, but, yeah, I think if we start getting into like rental from private industry, that's gonna be a little bit trickier.
What about just that lot then? City owns it. We just pour a pad.
You're talking about that corner lot, or just right
Yeah.
there?
Or the grocery stores.
That's from the parking.
As long
But
as
there'd be
someone,
like-
as
if
long as
you're-
someone will keep it clean,
Look,
yeah.
there's the fire hall,
Yeah,
that lot right
where they-
there.
All right, let me see.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, where the little grocery store was.
You know what,
I
I
know
mean,
it's a grocery store there.
Yeah, okay.
The only thing about that location, would they have maybe a fence or something around it where you don't see that thing?
That's what I was.
Well, yeah, we'd
thinking
have to
too,
build
fence, yeah.
a structure
I
around
mean,
it.
I was talking to her other day about going down back the street here, and sometimes it just looks bad. And a lot of people use this street. you
Well, that's
know.
what I'm saying, if we poured a pad and then put like a wood fence around it and set the dumpster in there.
So you want the city to pay for this, for private
What
industries?
what if we also, I
Can we
mean,
do that?
what if we looked at,
Yeah.
you know, future, because if the city owns that future development, one thing that we are looking to do more of is parking. So, I mean, if we could, you know, if we have parking spaces in there too, I mean, not necessarily for this specific project, but start looking at it like, I'd hate to go and we go pour a pad for it and then we're like, you know, we want to do more parking here, you know, like he's doing with a dog park, he's situating it for future planning. And,
Parking there's a good idea too.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, we've had the lot forever though, and it's sat empty forever, might as well do something with it.
yeah.
At least
It's just-
get some
Just
small
making it
use out
look
of
nice
it.
where it didn't look like it's just a dumpster sitting there. all the
Man,
time.
that thing's been empty as long as I can remember, so.
Yeah.
I think one of the plans originally was the police were thinking of trying to build something there, but it never panned out. So to have a little more room for them.
Well, I mean, that's
They need
just
more
one
room,
little
too.
thing that we can
And
move when that time comes. I mean, we're like holding up one thing on the prospect that something years down the road may happen. I just
Yeah.
don't think that's very smart.
I'd say
so.
too, to be convenient for, I mean, we definitely, if we did something there, one, we gotta look at the cost, but two, we gotta look at the neighbors there. And are they gonna wanna look at a dumpster, so we wanna
It's a
make sure we
residential
got
area.
a, you know, got something going
Yeah,
there.
but I mean, if you just build, like I said, a wood enclosure,
Yeah.
wood
Wood fence.
block enclosure or whatever, you're not gonna.
Can I ask a question then? If we're using city money to build something for private industries to put
Yeah.
their stuff in, are we gonna charge them to recoup that money for the city?
I think you should. I think we should. It should.
Well, you're gonna charge them for the bin. I mean,
You're gonna charge for the bin.
Your
and just-
city's not gonna pay for the bin. We're just providing the space to do it.
Space
It's like
to
if
do
we were
it.
gonna put it on the city
Well,
lot.
she's asking about the barrier or whatever around it.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that's just it's a price we have to pay. I
So
mean,
which?
Well, I mean, those private businesses are bringing in
yeah.
sales
I mean,
tax,
it's like
and they're
saying,
paying for it.
it's like saying, oh, we're gonna provide them with water lines, you know, like,
Yeah,
That's
probably,
I mean,
why are we
it's just-
providing private citizens with water lines, yeah.
Well, it's a
Yeah.
little different because some of the businesses are providing their own trash and dumpsters. So I'm just saying, are we,
Do we wanna attract more businesses that don't have space to do it or not?
I think it's worth
Yeah.
whatever the cost is. It's not gonna be outrageous.
Yeah,
Like I said, the lot's sat empty forever anyway. We might as well use something, and if we decide to develop it later, it's pretty easy to
Yeah,
knock
just-
down and move and do whatever.
And get some good bids to keep it low cost, and yeah, but I do think you do charge the trash, absolutely.
Well, yeah,
And-
you'll have
and-
would you like
yeah.
to research how much it will cost then to do that and bring that back to us?
I mean, I think Bill, well, I mean, I'm not trying to pass it on, but I think Bill was our representative on the trash, but
Okay. All right. So we'll next.
did I just pawn that off
month
on you, Bill?
So, Mr. Councilman Reese, can you bring that back to us next month? And
Okay.
we'll
I
Take
mean,
a
is
look
it-
at that. Okay.
Les, is that something y'all could build maybe?
Well, of course.
Y'all can do anything, I know. I just didn't know. I mean, like, especially I'm just asking.
It's gonna be probably a little bit more expense, but, there's a way to do a chain link fence with the little straps in between.
Well, you don't see that.
Yes, sir, and it looks it'll be easier to maintain.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, I think we
But-
could,
That's my concern. It's just
I wanna put
big
more
dumpster
on
sitting down
on
there,
them than
looking ugly.
they
Oh,
have,
yeah.
but, I mean, we could, that's an option.
We've got a lot of uglies around town anyway, so we don't.
Exactly.
Okay. So do we have any kind of motion or what would y'all like to do about this?
I think we're just waiting on, Bill to get costs, so.
Okay,
I don't
all
think we can
right.
do a
So
motion.
Bill will come back.
Right.
Councilman Reese, thank you. Okay, now we have, speaking of cost, estimate of cost for additional fire hall bays. Mr. White, do you have something there?
I'm still waiting on suppliers and contractors to get me updated prices on the addition. I think the question is whether to do 3 bays or 2 bays. 3 bays will fit. There is a survey pin that's been set by a surveyor on the adjacent property to the fire hall. If you drive by it, you might see some orange flagging back in the bushes. Y'all technically own probably 15 to 20 feet of that grass that's past the curb for the fire hall. So a 3 bay will fit, and a rough estimate is you'd probably be around 15 to 20,000 is what you would save on a 2 bay versus a 3 bay. You're only cutting out 17 feet of
15
the
to
front and the
20K.
back, and the concrete is really what you're saving. You still gotta have the same amount of foundations, and
Right.
so you're not saving a lot. No,
So the 3 bay, you're saying would be not that much more than a 2 bay?
correct.
And they're doing it
That's
all
how we're
at
gonna do
once. I mean, we're just gonna grow, let's be proactive, get
Yeah.
it done in one
Well, since
shot.
I only had 2 weeks since the last one, so give me till the next council meeting. I will have you a price on what
Okay.
a 3 bay and a 2 bay will be, but just so you know,
Okay.
that's probably what you're looking at, the difference. There's some drainage work that'll have to be done because when I went and visited, y'all get quite a bit of stormwater runoff that comes from the square, comes down some channel, and it almost pours in the back of the building now, so we're going to reroute that from the view.
Got some interesting streams around town.
That's the only thing that I noticed while I was there.
Okay.
But that's my update.
Okay, so, thank you. Do we have a second reading and a vote on the sign ordinances? Dr. Duke, is there any discussion? We read it, had a public hearing last time about it. Do you have any further questions about it? If not, do I hear a motion to,
Motion.
okay, second to that
Second.
motion? Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, the sign ordinance passes, thank you. Okay, then we come to the UCDD grant, and what Mr. White was talking about for the walking track, and we have, I think they sent you this in the packet, we have two different, we have one contract for UCDD to be the partners for the grant, and then we have one for Mr. White's Midtown Engineering Company to be the engineering. And we just need approval for me to go ahead and sign these contracts for the city, so they can move forward. Do I hear a motion to that effect?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then we'll go ahead and sign these contracts. The next one is approval for, we had talked about that special I&I, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bush.
Thanks.
The priority grant or priority loan from the state revolving fund loan that we're, if we get on it, it would be 100% principal forgiveness because it would be one of 3 pilot projects. We sent you all the information about Mr. Kurtz, who's the engineer, who's probably one of the best in this area for I&I. He's worked already with our sewer plant on helping them get some permits together. He's done his report that he gave to TDEC for free for us to get us on the priority list, and we would need to sign the contract in order to move forward to try to actually get that loan. So this is his contract. Do I have?
This is this one right here?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think there's 2 copies of it, actually.
I motion to approve it.
Okay.
Second.
All right, any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we'll move ahead with signing that contract. Thank you. Okay, the amendment to the museum lease that, Attorney Moore, you want to address that, please?
It's, we discussed at the last meeting, amending the current lease to add the performance hall to the area that the museum will be leasing, and that they will have the ability to allow the spot to use that as well. There is a provision that says that if there are ADA compliance issues, that they will either restrict the use of that to make sure they're in compliance or make any necessary improvements. And it doesn't specifically include the spot on the lease, but essentially the museum will be responsible for the spot's use of it. And one other provision to provide that if the city wants to have a special event there, the museum will allow them to have that use, provided you can coordinate the schedule with them.
Okay, do I hear a motion to the effect that we allow to go ahead and sign this lease?
Motion.
I mean,
Have
okay.
the,
Yes, ma'am.
have the museum folks got to look at the lease?
The amendment?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Oh, okay, well, then,
Were they gonna be here tonight? I thought they were gonna be here tonight.
Did they even know that was gonna be on the agenda?
I thought they did from
I
last
think
time.
we did
Yeah,
discuss
last
it would
time.
be on there. One
Yeah.
thing that the town could go ahead and approve it tonight,
Yeah.
and then, of course, it's not effective unless the museum signs off, and if they have an
we do
issue,
that.
they can bring it back next month.
Can you clarify again, like if we wanted to use it for a certain event or whatever, pending that they didn't have anything going on at the time? Currently, aren't they supposed to come before the city hall and if anybody wants to use it, we have to approve it, so that's no longer the case, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
They'll have.
So now they
control
have
over
it.
Right. And admittedly, the language regarding the city's use of it is intentionally vague because that's the way
Right,
the
okay.
discussion was.
Just to clarify that, I wanted to know that. So we can still use it for purposes for the city.
Right.
Paragraph 4. amendment.
So if we wanted to have an art exhibit sponsored by the city, we could do that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, do I have a motion that we can go ahead and sign our part of this and then take it to the museum and?
I think we got a motion. Just need a
Second.
second.
Got a
I'll
motion?
second or
Okay.
somebody.
Any discussion on that?
Just put whatever you want to do.
Okay, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll go ahead and sign this tonight and give it to the museum tomorrow then. We talked about scheduling budget workshops. The supervisors have decided to go ahead and start theirs in February this month. Once they get some of their things together, they'd like to meet together with you all then and to kind of show you what they have, their thoughts are on that. So our first one will be either the 14th or the 17th, depending on, we talked a little bit about this, there might be an issue getting everything rectified in time to get the budget, so we may have to move it up to the 17th, supervisors, and that would be the Tuesday.
The 14th's Valentine's Day too, you know, so.
Well, I know, but it's their thing, so they're the ones that, We were gonna have chocolates for everybody, actually, so.
I'm good with the 17th.
Well, no, it's theirs first, and then they wanna bring it to y'all after
Oh,
they've
okay.
had a chance to first meet. They asked for the opportunity to first let their discussion
Okay,
be among
so
themselves.
I apologize, and I must have misheard you. So they're wanting to have their meeting, and then
Then bring it to y'all.
we'll schedule a meeting.
Yes, right.
Okay. Can we sit in on that meeting as well? I mean, we don't have to, I'd just like to hear their discussion.
Well, if we do, we have to make it a public meeting, because if two or more people are there, we have to open it up to the public. then.
Is it two more people there making
You're-
decisions, or
you're-
two more people there
you're-
attending?
I don't know.
If, again, yeah, if there are two, if the board is just there to watch and is not meeting and, discussing or deliberating or inputting in any way, you're probably relatively safe, but you always have that issue is if
Yeah.
two board members are together for anything.
And I think the supervisor would just like to have an opportunity to talk themselves first, and then bring it to the board, is kind of what that's what I felt they were saying in our last supervisor's meeting.
As long as we see the final product,
Sure, I mean-
they should have the right to have a discussion.
Yeah, yeah. And once they bring it to you, I'm sure there'll be a lot of discussion about it at that point. How do y'all feel about that? Did you?
I'm good with that.
Okay. So if we move it up to the 17th, anytime after they have theirs, whatever y'all want to do, I mean, we got
We
until,
could schedule something at the next council meeting to look at it
okay. Is that okay with everyone?
sometime mid-March.
Okay, we'll do that
That
at
gives
the
us
next
March,
council.
April, May, yeah.
We have
That
plenty
gives
of
us,
time.
that gives us 3 months.
Lots of time.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you. We discussed the auditor about the local investment, government investment pool. MTS, the financial person, was kind enough to have a nice conversation with me about this. I'm just gonna give you the thumbnail. I did pull up the application. Basically, this is a legislative act, and you can find this if you just Google it online with all this information. It's under the state treasury. It's professionally managed. With this facility, says it's amazing. They're in Nashville with, it looks like a brokerage firm with all these people trying to find the best deals. There is an administrative fee, but the rates are similar to a CD. We can wire transfer the money from our banks out, and you can set it up in as many as 99 accounts, he says. So if we wanted to, for instance, use this for a matching grant, we could set up an account for that matching grant money and have it held there, sort of like in a savings account. For instance, just so you know, we're gonna be needing some money coming up. Our water tank grant is 50-50 match, so we may have to come up with about 100,000 for that before it's over. The future alley water line is 135,000. It will be some matching on that, but maybe only 20%. So we're talking about 200 there. The fire hole bay extension, we don't know yet. Last estimate was 70,000 without the pad and everything. The walking trail is going to be a matching, so we're talking about maybe $300,000 right there that we're going to be coming up with matching stuff. I want to throw this out there because I don't know that we totally always keep this in mind. We have not only $10,000 a month we're already paying on loans and grants that we have from previous 4 years. We're also looking at additional costs coming up with matching grants. Let's keep all that in mind, but if we could use.
He also stated it was only gonna take 24 hours.
That's
to
what I was gonna
transfer it,
say.
so why not?
It's a 24-hour
Yeah.
transfer, I mean.
The pros and cons, he did say, okay, keep in mind, we'll be taking money out of our local banks. And we don't wanna totally deplete that because we do need to stay in good graces with our local banks here. So he suggested maybe starting with the matching grant money and just see, rather than any of our reserve funds or anything right now, is what I'm kind of hearing.
I'm just looking at the interest rate for the taxpayer, how we return having their money, and, let's do that. I mean, we all love our local banks, but I'm not here for the local banks, I'm here for the taxpayer.
Unless they want to match the.
Yeah, if they want to, I tell you what, if the local banks want to match that interest rate, I think that'd be great.
And remember, the interest rates do fluctuate. If you'll go online, you'll see all the interest rates for the past 3 or 4 years. And you'll see that they've also got a list of the groups that are being invested in. And it's not risk-free, no investment is, just to keep that in mind, so,
No, I
You
thought
said
that
it was
was, it
insured.
was insured.
It's
so.
completely insured.
yes, but there's a statement on there, it's not risk-free, so just take a look at the website.
Well, this
I
is
think
just,
that will-
just to apply, and we're not gonna move money right now anyway.
Well, to apply,
so.
you do have to move money, I mean, that's how you apply. You apply, in the bank, it's a wire transfer from the bank. And we would have to decide, we can't do it tonight, how much money we wanna move, out of what accounts we wanna move, how we wanna set those accounts up, because there's 99 different ways to set them up. So we need a real discussion about how we wanna do that.
And I didn't look in detail at the application, but does it require, do they need a resolution approved by the council and with the specific dollar amount? So maybe what we could do is move it to the next meeting with that resolution to present to the council, and the council can decide at that point.
Yeah, it says which banks we're gonna move it from, the transfer number, the account number. We have to be notarized by the government to make this transfer.
But does the application, do they require that the town pass a resolution to
Well, it just
authorize
says,
that?
it just said authorized for the government unit name to,
Do-
its agreement.
Do we want to ask for suggestions? I mean, I don't know where to begin. I think we need to transfer. I mean, I don't want to say as much money, but I mean, the more money we have in there, we get it out in 24 hours, the more interest we're earning. So, but again, I don't know the ins and outs too, so I don't want
Maybe
to shoot myself in the foot.
Maybe we ought to
so-
wait until we get a CD recorder
Well,
nailed down
and our CMFO also.
and that also, and just, I mean, I'm all for it. We'll move.
Yeah,
I'm ready to move whatever, but we might want to.
just stave this off till the next meeting.
I mean, we've gone this long. What's another month or two? It's
Yeah.
not going to make us enough money to
And-
warrant running into it. You
Yeah.
know,
And
blind.
I
But
also really highly recommend go to the website, because all the questions you can have are on there. It shows all the interest rates, how it's fluctuated over the years, and then you can click on every investment they go into and all the different funds that these money managers invest in. I think we all need to be on the same page knowing some of that stuff.
Can you email us all the website?
You can, but if you just go to Tennessee Local Government Investment Pool, it'll pop right up. You can just Google that, but I'll be glad to mail it to you, yeah.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so that's, I'll do that tomorrow, I'll get that out to y'all, you can work over it over the weekend, and we can talk about it if you want the next meeting, I think. Vice Mayor Watts is a good idea, let's hold off, and when we get a CMFO on board, he can also help us, I think, quite a bit on that. Okay, going into new business. Very sadly, Miss Teresa, you have something you want to share with us, so.
Yes, ma'am. I sent out emails, so I wouldn't have to say much. But I'm filing my retirement. I didn't think I would be.
Yeah.
well, you don't have to leave. We'll let you stay.
You can hang around.
We are totally okay with you staying.
No, I just think I should step down and go ahead and put Rusty as supervisor, and I think it'll make the transition a lot easier for the next couple months to do that. And I just want y'all's approval to do that. I don't know if it has to be a motion or just a nod, I don't know, but I just think it would work out better. I'm planning to retire in April.
Okay, so you would like us to vote to make,
Go ahead and make
Move.
Rusty as
You wanna vote on
the
that?
supervisor. Let me go ahead and step down during the transition and just go ahead and make
well,
Rusty.
you're not leaving till April, though, you said, are you?
Yeah, but I have over a month of vacation.
Oh, no,
and-
come on. Come on, Miss Teresa.
Well, I just don't think it's fair to him
Yeah, I
to
understand.
not be able to make the decisions if I'm not gonna be around.
So do you want to go ahead and make him supervisor now, or?
I would
when you
like
leave?
to, if it's
Okay.
possible, if it's okay with y'all, I'd just
Okay.
like to step down and just go ahead and move him up during the transition. I just think it would work out
Okay,
easier.
so do I hear a motion to that?
I make a motion
Okay,
to.
second? Any discussion about that?
We appreciate all the work you've done for us
Oh,
over
yes.
the years.
For sure.
I'll miss
We
you.
hate to lose you. Like I said, you can stay.
I think it's time.
I understand.
We're gonna miss her, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks for all you've always
Okay,
been
let's-
awesome whenever I've been up there and just showed me everything,
I
and
thank you all.
you've been great.
That's why I sent out the email, because there's a lot of things I wanted to say that I couldn't say.
Sure. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion to move Rusty up as supervisor? No, if not, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, congratulations, Rusty. Again, thank you, Ms. Teresa.
Thank you.
We're not gonna let you go that easy, though. Thank you very much. Okay, the next item is one of the Board of Zoning Appeals members rolled off. The term was up, and we've asked Steve Babcock, who's a law enforcement person and has been approved by the zoning board. We just need your okay to move him up to that
I'd like the
position.
motion for Steve.
Okay. Second. Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so, then we have Chief Davis. Okay?
Sorry. So, I'm here just to talk real quick for a minute about, we had an opening for an officer. We had probably over 30 applicants. Some of those people are not even in the state of Tennessee, but nonetheless, after filtering through everything, I think I interviewed about 8 people. And the one that I have settled on, I put a application and resume in front of you. His name is Isaac Wicks. He currently works as a correctional officer at Smith County Sheriff's Department, has for, how long, Isaac?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. This is Mr. Wicks, by the way, just counseling.
I know some of y'all.
So, anyways, I pulled him back in for a second interview along with a couple other people. And this is the gentleman that I think we need to hire. I've talked to the other officers and members of the department. I think they're comfortable and happy with it as well. He is uncertified, so we will have to send him to the academy. Spoke to Mr. Isaac about that. He's willing to sign a contract like we did last time. Last time we did a 3-year contract. I think the way we came out with that is we pay for him to go. He signs a 3-year contract saying he'll stay for 3 years. If he leaves before that, it'll be kind of prorated back. Like, so if the school costs, let's just say $3,300 or $3,400, then they would prorate it essentially. That's how much you have to pay. Obviously, Mr. Wicks advised he's gonna be here for a long time and he doesn't have any intention of going anywhere else or anything like that. So we have that, and then also the pay. That's something y'all probably need to talk about and discuss. I can recommend something. The last time we had an uncertified officer was Officer Martin. We paid him $15 an hour. That was back in 2017. This is 2020. Officers now currently make more than they did back then. I think a fair wage would be $16 an hour. That would still put them at a little bit less than $2 an hour than what the officers are making currently. I think that would be fair.
Does that keep it inside of our budget? We don't make any budget amendments?
Yeah, it's not gonna affect the budget at all in any way, shape, or form. It actually go cheaper because the other officer that left was probably making $19, $20 an hour, so.
Are we gonna pay him more after he's certified?
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you about. How
Is
long?
that, is that what we did the last time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that'd be my next question is how much do you want to, after he gets certified and gets out of the academy, how much do you wanna bump him up to? The last time we had Mr. Enoch, we hired Mr. Enoch, we started him out as $1 less. And then after 6 months, we're gonna bump him up 50 cents. After a year, he's gonna be brought up to what the other officers are making. So my question is, if we start him out at 16, how long after he
How
gets out of
long
the
will it take him to get out of the academy?
It depends which class he gets in. So the next class that's currently available, I don't know if he'll get into that class or not, is in the end of March, I don't know if he'll get in or not. If not, it'll be the July class. The academy's 3 months, so.
Dawson.
Yes, sir. So it all just depends which class he gets into is, so that's up to y'all to decide.
What's your recommendation?
I think we start him out at $16 an hour for sure. Once he gets out of the academy, I say we bump him up to, once he's certified, I'd say $17.50. And then at the end of his first year, we bump him up to the rest of what everybody else is making. What do y'all think about that? Y'all can ask me a
Works for
question
me.
if you have.
I'll make a motion that we hire Mr. Wicks at the pay of $60 an hour, then after certified, move to $17.50. And then we'll discuss that afterwards, and then just make sure he signs the contract for 3 years.
I second that.
And then, let me ask you one question.
Yes, sir.
At the end of a year, if he has met all requirements and everything, and he's certified, at the end of a year, do you want him to be up to what everybody else is making, or you wanna wait at that point in time to see?
We always just bump them up
At the end of
pretty
the year,
much automatically anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I said, make
That's
sure-
how you've always done it.
That's
Yeah,
what we
I don't
started
see any-
doing. That's what we started to try to do, so, yeah.
Okay, and that's all the other officers, they're all like, they're,
Yeah, the last officer we hired was Officer English, who was certified, and we started him out at $1 less, and we were
Yeah.
gonna slowly get him up to that, what everybody else is making after 1 year, so
Okay.
I think if we kinda stay the same way, I think that's fair.
yeah.
Y'all good with that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Have a motion second.
We had a motion second already?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
I'm sorry, okay.
We sure
Any
did.
further discussion?
Yeah, I would like to say I had Isaac
Okay.
at the elementary
all right.
school and middle school, and he's a good
There you
kid.
go. Well, it's
Well, I see he
well,
worked for Mr.
all in-
Adair.
Wait a minute, all in favor?
And for-
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank y'all very
Tell,
much.
tell, it's a great story there. When did you first meet this young man?
So a few years back, I actually was asked to go up and speak to some high school students about careers in criminal justice, and there was 3 people up there that day, and just so happened Mr. Isaac was one of them.
There you go.
So that's the first time I met him. It was a good conversation we had that day, and little do we know, here we are today. So,
There you go. I think that's
so
great.
hopefully everything works out. And
Thank you.
I think he'll be a great asset to the department. So
All right.
thank y'all very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank y'all.
Congratulations.
Good to have you on board.
Yes, sir.
All right. Then we move to what we were talking about earlier. Remember, Mr. Poole, our auditor, has highly recommended separating the 2 positions out. CMFO is one and city recorder is another. And that's something that the ladies in the office and I think would be very helpful, because because of the workload on one person and all of that. It was easy back when, years ago, we didn't have all the grants and all the federal regulations. So I'd like to present, to ask you to make a motion, just first of all, to separate those 2 out, so we could then move forward from there. So do I hear a motion to that effect, to separate the 2?
Can I ask a question before the motion's made? This is a part-time, the CMFO is a part-time position, correct?
For right now, yes,
Okay.
because it's a CPA who would be.
So what I'd like to do then, is I'd like to motion that we separate these 2 and put the CMFO in a part-time position, just make sure that's clarified that it is a part-time.
And I'd like to know too, what the cost is gonna be
Well,
for us doing that.
okay, the first thing, we just need to separate them out, and then we can talk about each one individually, if that's okay.
I think we need to have specific job descriptions
Yeah.
for each one, so that we're clear on
Know what we're
what the
voting
job
on.
needs are.
Those are posted, and I can go get those, that's what we posted when we were hiring, so the CMFO handles all of the financial end. The recorder would have nothing to do with finances anymore, it would just be all the records, all the grants, all the deeds, anything that's recorded, our ordinances, but none of the finance.
The way it was explained to us last time, if I'm correct, was this would be someone who would help us mainly with our auditing, and W-2s and aspects of that. I wasn't under the, if I'm finished, I wasn't under the impression that it would take all finances off of the city recorder.
Yes, yes.
I thought that they would just, the city recorder would be kind of like the bookkeeper, and the CMFO would
Be the
like,
CPA, yeah.
Right.
just kind of check everything over. So in that case, the city recorder would still have some duties with money
Well,
on the
Mr.
day-to-day basis, because we'll need
Yeah.
people on a day-to-day basis to deal with
Mr.
money.
Jacob, can you maybe address this to help us clarify a little bit, or?
Yeah, we've actually had this conversation with our finance people at MTS. The CMFO, as the state of Tennessee designates that person, is the individual that has to be in charge of all of the financial dealings of the city. They are the supervisor. They are responsible, according to the state of Tennessee, for that detail. The city recorder, in how we would envision that being set up, as others have set it up, is that in your all's case, the city recorder, while they're doing the records and the minutes, they also have assumed the responsibility, which they already, the position actually already does, assumes the HR function for the city. The HR function of the city in and of itself takes a lot of time to take care of, to manage, to do it correctly. I know firsthand from previous city recorders that the totality of what a city recorder is being asked to do, there's not enough time to do it all, to do it well. And that's been probably one of the bigger issues over the last 10 years with the position of city recorder. It leads, there's so much to do, people get burned out. And it's not just here, it's in a number of cities. As a matter of fact, I was looking through it, and with the advent of the CMFO program, we've actually had, I think, at least 12 or 16 cities in communities your size that have split those two functions apart. Because the CMFO program, what that person's responsible for, it has become more complex by virtue of what the state of Tennessee wants. Having the city recorder do some of the bookkeeping work, frankly, creates a long-term, it creates a problem, because who supervises who? And the city recorder is, in your charter, basically an officer of the city. CMFO, not necessarily.
So, I guess that plan is, do we need a CMFO, or do we just need someone coming in and basically auditing us?
What you need is, it's an either-or situation. The state says it's going to be a CMFO unless you have a CPA who's had a minimum of 5 years of experience dealing with local government. A certain number of those have to be in the state of Tennessee. So that if you have a CPA, for example, that has been doing municipal audits for cities over a period of time, that individual could serve in the capacity of what the state considers to be a CMFO.
Is that something we can do part-time? We can hire
Yes.
out part-time?
Yes.
Even the CMFO, we can even be part-time also?
Yeah. Now, determining what part-time looks like is going to be more of a long-term conversation that person, because of what goes on, that person part-time is going to have to be more on of a, like, coming in every day for half of a day or 3 days out of a week type of a deal. Still part-time, but it's going to have to be, long-term, it's going to have to be a more definitive part-time.
Could I add that to that? What we've been looking at, given our conversations all the way around, is we have one gentleman who's willing to come in, who's had years and years. I've got his resume, or his, whatever you call it. It's not exactly a resume. His client list here. He's willing to come in. He's already the one that helped us with the budget last year, and he's helped with the W-2s, getting those out this year. He works well with the ladies in the office. He has said he would be willing to come in temporarily part-time until in fact, we have some CPAs who have also said after tax season, they would be willing to come on a full-time basis. So they would be here pretty regularly every week to do what needs to be done. We've also looked at, we had 18 people who interviewed for, when we separated it out, for the city recorder. Some really great people interviewed all the way around. So that's why I would hope we could first decide to separate those out. So we've got those separate, and then I'd like to talk to you about the CPA that has said he would come part-time, and about the other people that we've interviewed and some of the decisions on that side. if we could just take it step by step, if that's okay with y'all. The first would be, like we've talked about, and Mr. Jakel and the auditor, to separate those duties, so one's financial, one's record. And it's very distinct difference there.
I agree we need to separate, but I don't know, I'm not sold on that we need a CMFO, or if we can just get a CPA in here. I'm not sold on it.
You have to have.
You gotta have one or the other, it's not a
Yeah.
choice.
I mean, yeah, no,
It's either or.
I'm saying I'm not
Sure.
sold on the CMFO.
I understand. It's,
But I'm
by
wondering.
the state of Tennessee, they consider it the same,
Okay.
okay?
And this gentleman, again, may just be temporary part-time until tax season is over. We've got to get someone right now who can come in and help us reconcile everything, because it's got to be done before we can even start our budget. He'll come in and help us reconcile everything that's on the books. He'll help us work through the budget and get us to a point where we're kind of back on track again here. After that, as I say, there's several CPAs who said they will come on board, but they would be willing to come on board, one of them full-time.
Is this gentleman not willing to be an ongoing person? He just wants to be a temporary person?
Well, he wants to see how it works first, because he does have his own practice. Let me hand these out to you. They've got their own practice. They work with municipalities around this area. He really enjoyed working with Julie. Here you go.
When he says part-time, how part-time, is he talking
Well,
5 hours a
okay,
week
but
or 20
that's
hours
what
a
we
week?
hope to get to in the next step.
Yeah,
If we
and
can just take one step at a time.
I
We'll
think it
talk
would be
about when
two, depending on your season, like, I think they'd ramp up quite a bit right now, and then after May, June, they'd ramp down. I'm just, if we're gonna create an official position right now on limited information, I'd like to delay it, and I think we could work with the CPA. But I mean, I don't really have a dog in the fight on it. I'm just kind of, and I'm not sure who this individual is. I'd like to also hear from Julie as far as, because I'm trusting in Julie's word right now, and just because she's in the thick of it. So sorry to put you on the spot.
He did come in, last summer and met with the mayor and Jennifer and, helped with the budget at that point, cause neither one were, familiar with it. And then I have worked with him on 2 separate occasions over the last couple of weeks. I work well with him. He seems to know what he's doing. He said he was more than willing to help me with any questions I might have. I didn't have any issues with him at all.
Okay, so you'd feel comfortable?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was recommended to us originally by 2 different cities, CPAs. So,
What cities were those?
Well, excuse me, Smithville, a CPA firm in Smithville highly recommended him.
And this is which person on here?
That's,
Mr. Denning?
No, Mr. Cantrell.
what did we hand you? Mr. Cantrell. And here's a list of some of there are 2 men in his practice, but here's a list of some of the cities and things they take care of. And again, it could go beyond that, but it's sort of he wants, he's in the middle of tax season too. He wants to help us as much as he can. He realizes we need to get kind of back on track with what we have here before we can even look at our budgets. So, in fact, we need him to try to reconcile some stuff before we can even start working on the supervisor's budget. So the sooner we could bring him on board, and if I'm understanding correctly, if somebody is actually the CMFO, they have to be either a part-time employee or an employee. Is that correct?
Either one of them.
Okay.
It applies to either one, CPA or CMFO.
Okay.
In the email you sent out to everyone, you said there was like 18 applications or something like that?
There were a huge number, yes.
What were all their hours?
For the recorder, though.
That was just for the recorder. How many applications have we had for this position?
Well, we had 3 people, but as I say, the other 2 can't do it during tax season. So Mr. Cantrell is willing to, he's the one who's
I'm
willing
just
to go
looking at
ahead.
that last number there, $125 an hour.
I mean, we've already got a stack of bills here
Well,
that's,
but he's not going to be working that many hours to come and do what he does, and right now.
Shocking.
can we define how many hours he works?
Yes, but that's the second
What's
step
that
we want.
limit?
If you could just let us
Not
take.
really, it's all one step, because if
Okay,
we
but-
are gonna vote
but
to
that's
do
what-
this, we need to know how much it costs.
I know, but that's what Mr. Moore and I, if you could look at the number,
I don't want to vote now, read it later.
okay,
Yeah.
well, all right. What we would like to do, he he is ready to come on board and help us. Mr. Moore and I will be glad to negotiate with him something that makes sense for the city. He's already helped us several times already.
If I may make a suggestion, you might consider making a motion to approve or approve negotiating a temporary agreement for him to serve as CMFO. Again, it's the way he's proposed it, and I think the way the city, you could terminate it at any time. You probably do need to decide how many hours and a rate to offer to pay him. Then you can look at the recorder position. I don't know that you have to formally approve a motion to separate these positions at this time, but you do need to decide who you're going to designate and represent to the state as your CMFO, even if later you decide to have a full-time in-house employee do that. But this will, I think, bring somebody in the short term.
This is just us saying we want to make the position. It's not us saying necessarily this person.
That's what is going to propose, but what I'm suggesting is maybe you just go ahead and try to get a contract on a temporary basis set up with Mr. Cantrell to serve as CMFO, and then when you get a new recorder in, work through the process again and say, okay, do we want to have the
Does it wanna
recorder
be
get qualified as
separated
a CMFO, or do we want to continue this contract or do a new contract with somebody or a new employee to serve that role?
I mean, can he give us an idea of how much time he thinks it's gonna take to sort through everything? So, I mean, at 125 an hour, if he's here at least 10 hours a week, that's, I
I'll be
mean,
honest, he's not gonna be here 10 hours a week. If we get him once a week for a few hours, we're gonna be lucky, because he's like everybody else right now. He's just crazy. But he has, I mean, we need help, guys, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. You just gotta.
And I agree. I mean,
yeah, but
I'm looking at the numbers all. Honestly, we need the position. We need to get this fixed. We need to go.
May
But
we let Jude, you wanna?
I just like to add, he has a desire to help us. He reiterated what type of a situation the finance portion is, where, things haven't been done properly because there's not enough hours in the day, as Mr. Jekyll said, for that recorder to do all that.
Okay.
That's all that's asked of them.
can we just put? Can we do it with a cap on it? I mean, just put a cap on the cost, and then if it goes over that,
I mean, come back to council and get it approved or something.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and really, how do we know how many hours it's gonna take? We have no idea what's to be done
When
back
he was
there.
here, was it Tuesday?
I don't know how
think
they
it was,
can do
he was
that.
here, he said, this is just gonna take a while to get it right. That's
I
all.
would assume it is. I don't have the knowledge to put a cap on it.
Oh, no.
I mean, do we say, like,
No comparison.
we give him like a $5,000 retainer or something and say,
Well, I don't think.
Work
we
through
have
that or
to
whatever?
give Even a retainer. I don't think.
or I mean, like his cap
Approve up to
necessarily, yeah.
$5,000 and then
Yeah.
after that.
yeah. I mean, I'm.
Because right now, very honestly, he has absolutely said he has very limited time to help us. And he'll be here when he can to help us, but he's not gonna be here, he might not even be here, we'll be lucky if we get him every week here for a while.
So is it gonna be what we need to get caught up?
Right.
But he's going to do it, but he has to do it at his own rate.
That gives us
because-
40 hours, $5,000.
40
So,
hours.
Do we want to approve him for
Is it
40 hours?
5,000?
I mean, I don't
We
know
could
if you're doing
start-
a.
I don't know.
Are we doing this?
I mean, you're looking at we're at a 1.5
Just do the cap.
budget.
Just do the cap.
Just do the cap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're talking about negotiating with this person, you might,
Yeah.
if you use an hour figure, you may be shooting yourself in the foot.
Just cap it at $5,000 and
Let's cap it
and
at $5
say-
grand. I think that's plenty of time. And if
Yeah.
something else needs to happen, we can
Well,
bring it back.
he'll go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and I was gonna say, even something like the local government investment pool, I mean, I think he would be of help and help answering questions that
Yeah.
you may have about that. So I think in the short term, it's certainly worth doing until you come up with a long-term plan.
Okay. So I'll make a.
Well,
Sorry. Yes,
there's a
ma'am.
motion
I
been made by
apologize.
Cole to separate the two positions into a CMFO position and a recorder position.
Okay.
That's on the table.
You still good?
Yeah, I'm still.
I'll second.
Keep that
Okay.
motion.
So we have a motion to separate the two. Any further discussion? Not all in favor?
Do we have a second?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Matt seconded.
Sorry.
And just to
We can't hear
clarify,
that.
that's gonna be along the
For the
lines of the job
CMFO.
descriptions that have been advertised,
I
okay?
think we should designate that as a city officer, whether they're a part-time or full-time employee, just go ahead and make them a city officer and put them under the direction of the council.
That serves
so
at the
that
pleasure of
it's
the
clear.
council, like the recorder does.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Do we need to amend that
Yeah,
part?
so go ahead and make motion for an amendment.
So move to amend the motion
Sorry.
That's okay.
to make the CMFO position a city officer under the direction of the council.
I'll second you.
So, is it?
So that's on the motion to amend.
So we would have two city officers, by quarter and
That would be an addition.
Okay, all right. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Well, let's vote on the amendment
Cole.
first.
Yeah.
The amendment was, again, do we have a second?
We have a second on this one.
On the amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
Amendment.
And
So
the
now we're
amendment-
voting
would you
on
repeat
the
the amendment one more time, please, so we get,
To create the CMFO position as a city officer under the direction of the council.
okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So we have that, and then the city recorder. Now, have we decided
I
that
would-
we have a cap on him?
I would like to make a motion that we cap,
Bring him on board.
that we cap him at $5,000 and that we let you negotiate
I
whatever.
was just gonna say, I think we could finish this motion up just for the position in itself.
Okay.
And then we'll do another vote
Have
for
we not?
the
Oh,
specific
I thought we'd already
person.
done that.
Yeah.
Okay. I get
No, it's
lost in
okay.
all the amendments
I
and
think we're all lost
whatnot.
tonight.
I don't think we finished this one yet.
No, we did the amendment, we hadn't.
We haven't
So
done the
fi-
initial.
So yeah,
Oh,
now we need to
okay.
vote on the motion with the amendment.
Okay.
We need like a board up here that tells us where we are.
Okay, so we have a motion with an amendment. Do I hear a second to the motion with the amendment? Do I hear a second to the motion?
We already have.
We have, okay.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor of the motion with the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, all opposed. All right, so we have the motion with the amendment,
Go, Matt.
so we are.
Okay. I would like to make a cap of $5,000 and that we negotiate with him to get this started.
All right, we will do that.
I'll second
We'll
that.
start tomorrow because we need him right now. Okay. All right, second, any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
So we
Good
bring
boy.
him aboard on a temporary part-time basis with a cap of 5,000. All right,
Did you get like 6 sheets of paper for that one thing?
okay. So now, moving forward, as I said, we had 18 people who applied. We did go through the process of honing it down to 4. Miss Julie, Miss Cindy, and I met with those ladies, those candidates. And there was one person that both ladies felt met with their approval, and I think this person would be fine too. I've got that resume here. I'd like y'all to take a look. We don't actually need to say the name until we decide one way or the other, so if you'll pass this down. This is one for everyone. Can you take a look at that, please?
Do you have the other 3 that you said there was 4 finalists?
Well, this is the one that the 2 ladies felt we can bring those in, but that was actually, I brought them in to help with the preference because they're going to be working with the person. If you would like to see the other 3, I'll be glad to go get those.
I think we owe it to those other people to see those.
Okay, I'll go get those.
With all respect to Judy, I just,
Sure. Want to go?
What did you bring us?
Presents.
You got homework.
Oh, look at that.
Now, if you have a mayor to go by.
Doesn't say dummy.
No inspirational signature in the middle of it.
This is the Libertarian Bible right here.
Is that it?
You're talking about a motion, amend the motion, amend the motion, amend the motion.
Like-
It's shut up.
Y'all give me on one amendment, I don't need
Here, did you need this one?
I meant to bring those at the last meeting that I was here, and I forgot. We hand those out all the time.
There's a lot. Let's see. You get lost in
I've got a
the.
nice green one. It's like leather bound.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like it belongs in a golf course.
Oh, nice, thank you. I don't have, you're gonna have to share copies, because we only had, let's see,
It should be like 2 of each.
two of each, I think.
I'll go down each side.
For each side.
And then that one you got in your
Split
hand.
it.
See that one? Yep.
Okay,
We've got 3 over here. If you wanna put 3 on that side.
okay, there you go through. Okay, we got one extra here.
There we go.
These are the sets.
Okay.
Okay, so
I'm gonna,
we got 2 sets here.
I gotta start writing here. Hang on a second. And I guess we should probably write down if anyone stands out to us.
That's nice.
And I guess since he was talking about HR, looking for HR qualifications.
Do it.
Customer service manager.
So that's several.
Can I trade you? Oh, okay, sorry. Anybody want to trade?
I've been looking on there.
Okay, so administration, all right. Are any of these already accredited?
I'm sorry,
Are any
Craig.
of these already accredited?
As far as the recorders, I don't think any of them have been to the recorder and clerks school, no. I mean, they all have different accreditations, but not for that.
I guess it's what you're asking, if any of them worked as a recorder before within a municipality? They have not, if that's what you're asking.
I'll trade you on that one.
One of the ladies did let us know, if I may, she is interviewing elsewhere as well and has already had, she had 3 interviews with that, location.
Anybody want, do we got copies?
I have more copies if someone needs them.
Y'all passed out 4, right?
You got the first one, and then there was 3
3
others.
more, okay, I've only seen 2, maybe.
Yeah, take those and see.
This
what you-
one. Oh. Okay, this is. Okay, I see. I'd like to too, just so that we, I think it'd be good to do a vote on this where we, kinda the way we hired the attorney was basically where we all write down our vote, and then have them read out afterwards. That way it's not a, we can all kind of put our faith in what we really feel without being swayed by each other.
Are you gonna wanna say those names out loud? I think there's an issue with that at times of
No,
possible.
did you say write them down?
We'll write them down, and then the person with the most amount of votes would get it.
That doesn't have to be read aloud, is it?
The person who would get it would want to be read out loud. Are we not, what's the conflict of reading the application out loud? I'm just curious.
Times past, applicants have not been, names have not been mentioned for current situations, current jobs. If they didn't get it and their name has been mentioned, it could cause some conflict with their current job.
Yeah, if they, how about we read it if they do get it? That's what I mean, the person who has the
Only
most.
list the person that gets the most votes.
Gotcha, yes, and just list the person who
I
gets
just
the
wanna
most
make sure I
votes.
understand what's going on.
And we can all write it down, secret ballot, and then read out the result.
I might not read it if I didn't get it.
So I wasn't familiar with how y'all handled it.
So last time we had
We voted.
a few attorneys, and just so that we didn't have a bias as far as, we all put down our option, we turned it in, and then that option, the person with the most votes, which was you, got read aloud. So-
It obviously worked.
Yeah, it worked. We ended up getting.
Mr. Jekyll, is there a problem?
They were here though, remember?
Can
They
we-
were here.
Can we do it?
Do you have one
Yeah,
more?
it's not a
ballot?
secret ballot, again,
No, I
anything that you
don't. Which one are
submit
y'all?
is gonna be, it's
That's
just a question of
one,
whether you
Brittany,
want
and then there was the,
broadcast.
yeah, let me,
That was,
it was,
What do you need?
one of the resumes.
Oh, I handed them
Can we
back
just
to
not
them.
make the can we just
We
not
have
make a
these
recommendation
two.
and be done with it?
We have
Oh,
these
it's just
two.
easy.
Do
We write it
need one
down,
more?
pass them Julie, and Julie gets the full count. It's
One way or another, let's do it.
At the end
I don't
of the
care, let's just
day-
do it. I
At
wanna
the
go
end of the
home.
day, you're gonna have a vote on a candidate.
Right.
So how you get to that point, and anything you write down on a piece of paper, of course, is gonna be public record, so.
Yeah.
But,
It really
so,
won't be on.
Which you have to pass to the city, the acting city recorder, by the way.
Yep.
And that stuff has to be kept.
Yeah.
so if you want to go, if you wanna either do a ranking and submit it in writing to the recorder for a tabulation, or if you wanna write down one name, each of you to submit, and then the recorder can read out the person that has the most, and then you can make a motion to approve that person as your recorder, or to offer that position to the recorder, and if that passes, then you can make that offer.
Okay.
So would you prefer a ranking or individual vote?
Let's
Is it
just
right?
run a name and
Yeah, just one
Does-
name.
Okay, here's the next question. Do they need to get a majority of the votes, or do you want to have a second round if they don't?
They need to get the majority.
Okay,
majority, and if there's no majority, limit it to two most.
sure. Go right
I
ahead.
don't wanna be illiterate because, so, would it be better if you all actually sat in on an interview? Because looking at stuff on paper and actually interviewing somebody can be two separate stories, so.
Kind of
That's a good point.
what we'd be going off of is that you all had 18 and you narrowed it down to 4.
4 is all I saw. I don't know what was before that.
Then again, what I think Julie's saying, the person in real life might be a little different from the words on the paper, so if we want to have a special meeting where you can bring these people in and meet them, we can do that.
Let's don't have any more special meetings.
No,
yeah,
let's just-
That's costing us a lot
Let's,
Can we
of
let's,
money.
let's just write this
vote?
down and go, yeah.
We're not getting out of it.
Okay.
Well, we
So
don't need
is
to work
this
with
who
them
you're
though.
wanting to hire, or?
This would be,
Do any of you know, or can speak to, knowing? I mean, I kind of feel badly for them because they're
There
not
you
here in
go.
person.
So what am I supposed to do?
I guess you're just gonna count the names. here in a
Do we
minute.
need our name on here?
Yeah,
also?
we need our
Yeah,
name.
we
Yes.
got to,
Yeah.
Just sign it for me.
here's a piece of paper there, Bill.
And I'm supposed to keep this on this.
Forever and always.
Pass this
and
little
then
piece of
some.
paper to Sam there.
I'll have
want
to
it-
stick it on a piece of paper and tape
Okay, I
it.
didn't
When I'm
get
old, I want
So
to come
you
back to
didn't
the
give me one.
archives. I'm going to find it.
I gave you one right there.
Oh.
There you go. Just leave you in the dark.
Oh, better do this neat.
Sure you can tell.
There you go.
Thank you.
We have to have a secret ballot box to put these in.
Yeah.
The attorney says don't use the word secret.
Feel like I'm in
Don't say
fraternity again.
secret.
Black box.
Confidential.
They
Use
never
them
do
senators.
Executive session box, the black ball box.
Okay, do we have?
Let me
a ma-
make sure.
Do we have a majority?
Got it again. I don't want, if it's your light on me, I don't want to mess this up. Okay. We do have a majority. We have someone in the lead.
All right. So is that a majority of the,
Alone, that's 3, that's 2, and that's 1.
so we have 3 votes for 1, 2 for 1, and 1 for 1. Do we need 4 votes for 1, don't we?
No, I would treat the top vote person as a
The most.
nomination for that position, and then a motion can be had and
Okay.
voted on. It would require a
So
majority.
the top person was,
At this point, I think you could say it, couldn't you?
We're gonna have to do it sooner or
Gotta do
later.
it. Let's go.
the top person was the one that initially went around,
Okay.
Danielle.
So can I make a motion for that then? I make a motion that we hire Danielle Bain as city recorder.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on that? Are we, Mr. Moore, excuse me, Mr. Jekyll, did we miss? Okay. Any discussion, further discussion, anything you would like to say one way or the other before we finish this?
Congratulations, Danielle.
Okay, any, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All righty, I think we made it through, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
I gotta keep this.
now we're at, we have someone here who's interested in, we have a lot down by the Cordell Hope Ridge, sort of, I think it's 100 feet by 200 feet, I don't know, it's a long lot that's right there beside the church, and it goes all the way down. There's 2 other lots beside of it. We were actually offered those lots at one point, but the problem is they're in a floodplain down there. And someone here wants to approach us about possibly buying that lot. And that's Mr. Josh Kirby. And we haven't had a chance to have it appraised yet or anything, so.
Down the middle one.
Are you building something there? Gonna
It's-
build something there, or you just want it?
It's
to
the
have
one
it?
right next to the church there. It's the far lot right next to the church. So we would have the entrance, to get into the other 2 lots, they'd have to come to this lot.
Did you bring a picture of
Or
the
to
lot?
have parking.
Yes, sir, quite a bit.
Okay.
Alright. Let's see what you got.
Oh, there you are.
Look at that.
Thank you, sir.
You are ready.
I only
and
brought
prepared.
8.
I
So,
don't have to have one.
let's see.
You can have mine.
If you want one. Can I say my name, or is that private too?
I don't know.
It's too late. Too late.
That's the little skinny lot right there. That's the tax records for it. That's the first page, this little packet of information I put together. I bought the lot next to it, where the little house used to be. It's a lot and a half, and then what, from my understanding, the city actually owns a half of a lot.
That like rock house that was
Yes,
kind of
sir.
growed up, that,
Yeah.
okay.
That was a lot
I
and
gotcha.
a half, and then this is like
Yep.
to the left of it towards the bridge. And it's the
Mhm.
one highlighted in white on page 3. The larger one down by the river.
Mhm.
Doesn't touch the river. I called the mayor and asked to be put on here so I could talk about it. I bought the one below it, the larger one. and just trying to kind of put it all together. I don't really know what I'm gonna do with it yet. I'm trying to get the one below that as well. The church bought the one back behind it that has all the water frontage. So I don't know if I gotta do any river development unless I put a new steeple on the church or something maybe. But I'm gonna talk to them about that and see if they would ever consider selling the back part of theirs to give me water access, and then I don't know what I would do with it. So just trying to put this all together, and when I called the mayor we talked about price and such, and it's really totally up to you as a realtor. We talked about comparable sales, so that's what this big mess of stuff is here. That first page with the map on it that most of you are on, you'll notice a second little white block cut out right over there on Spring Street. What that is, and the tax record and the deed for that are in here as well. Let's see, that deed is your page 7. So about 4 or 5 years ago, Mr. Poindexter, of course you know he owns that green top building down there on Spring Street. The county sold him that little portion of property from that big field in front of the Turner building. This came up when I was on the commission, and he offered $1,500. They decided it was not of any use to the county, and they sold it to him. I think that's pretty much the gist of it. Some other information I included here. There's a little lot on Moore Lane, a little residential lot. It's been on the market for years and years and years and has never been able to be sold. Talking about value there. That thing's been priced for $10,000 to $12,000, $14,000. Included the tax map there. It's also underwater in the flood zone. Skipping over that, I did include you one in Lebanon to talk about. There was a little lot down on Legal Pike, a good populated area that's also in the flood zone, and we sold it at public auction a few years ago, and literally nobody showed up for the sale, and we got on the phone and started calling developers and called in a favor. Somebody gave us $7,500 for it, and they were able to build a house on it and sell it. It wasn't flood zone, they had to go through all the rigmarole and headache to do so. And that flood map's included. And there's the one I bought on Upper Ferry Road. I paid $17,600. Like I said, it's a lot and a half, and I believe y'all have half a lot. And mine came with a survey and an elevation certificate already included. So I paid a little bit premium for that, and I believe there's a sewer tap and a water tap, so I've been told. I don't know if that's maybe.
I don't know where you're talking about, I can see.
Oh, good, good. Let's roll with it.
But I'll check you before you pay.
There you go. Coming on down to page 24, you'll see I included another little comparable property there. Mr. Poindexter picked this up over on First Avenue West, so it's pretty much the mirror image of this lot on the other side of the bridge. But it fronts 205 First Avenue, and you can literally drive right on this lot from First Avenue. Your lot sits under the bridge, and you pretty much break your neck getting down to it if you had to go down to it from the road. It's pretty steep.
But don't you drive, we can drive across to the.
You can, but you technically be trespassing because there's a lot in between there that you don't own that Mr. Dawson owns. So you have to go across somebody else's property.
Wouldn't you have to also to get yours?
No, ma'am, because I bought the one next to it.
Okay.
Just have to go off cliff.
Yeah.
My cliff's a little less, so I'm trying to buy the last little lot that's the least of the cliffs. But anyway, Mr. Poindexter paid $7,500 for that one. I really don't know a good way to compute a price. I looked at it a bunch of different ways. He bought that one off market, which is what the equivalent of this one be. He has a lot that he has great access to. Whatever he wants to do with it, that's up to him, but he can at least get to it. He paid about 1/3 of the tax appraisal, if that's a calculation you want to go by. 1/3 of your tax appraisal is like $1,700 and something dollars. So, I mean, a couple grand to take it off your books.
Well, we can't use it, so.
What can be put on it? What could
I
possibly?
don't know.
be put
It's
on
on
it?
C2. It's really useless unless somebody else with an adjoining lot has a use for it.
Plus it'd have to be filled in.
Yeah.
And then you got EPA problems filling it.
And you're looking at,
We gotta go back.
you're looking at
I think
some,
part of that's floodway too, not necessarily flood zone. That's a totally different story when you start looking at floodway versus flood zone. floodway requires more paperwork, and FEMA gets a little tricky about that. I think he does.
I see him buying up lots, so he's looking to buy this other lot, so
Yeah.
obviously there's looking for
Well, you've already
development.
bought all those lots except that one, right?
No, sir, I bought
Oh,
the bigger
sorry.
one.
Oh, okay.
The lot and a half in the middle there.
And then there's
so-
that other lot before you get to all those trees that they've just cleared out.
Well, the church is the lot with the trees on it is that lot that I'm trying to purchase. I'm under contract, but we're working through
But they've cleared all those trees out and they've got the,
a little bit. They've kind of
Okay.
thinned them out. The clearing you're probably referring to is back behind where the church just bought that tract. That
Oh, okay.
They've been
Right,
in there
okay.
quite a bit.
So did you buy the tract that Mr. Poindexter owned also?
No, ma'am, that's on the opposite side of the bridge, the one he
But,
owns.
I mean, I thought there was, isn't there one other, who owns this lot right here?
That is the one Mr. Poindexter owned that he sold to the church sometime in the past 6 months.
Okay,
I didn't really include that as a comparable property because it doesn't touch the river,
okay.
which what I would think.
And then who owns this one right here beside you?
That's the one I'm under contract to purchase. It's a family here local. I can't remember the name right off the top of my head.
The first one you come to past the bridge,
The first one coming down the hill from the bridge, the first one would be Mr. Dawson's. The second one is yours. The third is mine. And the fourth is the one I'm under contract to buy. That's the last one before you get to the church parking lot.
Now, maybe I'm confused. I was told that we had a right of way.
And you may
Across his
very well
property.
have one. I've never
I
seen it.
think that's what he told me.
But-
Yeah.
we're not,
I see him trying to possibly
Yeah.
in the future do some development, which is good.
we don't wanna keep it up.
And we don't have to maintain it. I mean, I don't know about the pricing or anything like that, but I mean.
2,500?
You know,
Well, you paid 70,000 for two of this size.
For a lot and a half with a
Which-
survey and a flood
Right,
certification already
so
done.
would it be fair to say we should get at least close to half of that?
No. No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Because the access for your lot is, I don't know if you could access your lot if you just had to from Main Street, Upper Ferry Road.
2,500?
Did you say it does it have water on it already?
City water?
Yeah.
It's my understanding that the house was there, had a city water and a city sewer tap. I have not verified that.
So you talking about the house where we tore down at the
I would assume so. Somebody tore it down.
there.
There is. Okay. I knew there's a manhole there, but I didn't know about an access.
So
But
there is water and sewer connection on that one.
Yeah,
on the lot I already owned.
yeah, yeah.
That's
so get rid of it.
Yeah, probably.
$5,000 for water and sewer.
We lived in the lot.
$5,000
To build, to develop on a floodway requires a lot of development. You have to do a lot of land prep before you even start on that, and to get you certified on the floodway. And part of this is in floodway. Flood zone, you've got to get the elevation certificate, and you may have to make some stuff, but in a floodway, you've got to make sure that anything you do on it doesn't make it rise or drift it somewhere else, and it's much more costly to build on a floodway, just the prep to get started with than a
So-
flood zone.
There was a house there before?
On the one I already owned. Yes.
That was before the flood
Okay.
plain.
But it wasn't, didn't last long, there was the house in the.
church
It was
is
on
in
here. It was torn down? Oh, okay.
No, there's another little house right
We
there.
do have to consider
grown up.
what he just said, there's not as much of a value if it's in the floodplain, because you don't know what you can do with it or build on it, I would assume.
2,500?
You can, it's not that you can't build on it, it just costs a
You're
whole
sticking
lot
with
more
that number.
to develop it.
Right, there's
I can get this done right
no
now.
water hooked up or anything on
No,
our
just-
lot?
You gotta make a motion or something, I don't know.
No? Okay.
Yeah, you would.
Well, you give us $2,500 for it.
If y'all will wrap it up and I'll pay for the title search and the deed and take it as is and you don't have to cut the grass anymore.
is that a motion then?
Yes.
I'll second.
So the motion's for 2,500. He takes title and deed, costs, all that stuff, and we
Okay,
get rid
so
of
we
it.
have a motion and a
We
second,
get a second.
2,500.
Do all the work.
You'll
I'll do all the work.
You'll do
Who
all the
signs the
work.
deed?
The mayor would have to.
Do you have any more discussion about that?
Put something nice on there.
So you're gonna draw up the legal work for the deed and
Yes,
everything?
ma'am, I'll get Mr. Bass to take care of
And
that.
we'll have to let our attorney take a look at it then?
Sure.
Okay. If you can get me, I'll get it to him and we'll move on it then.
Motion
Okay.
to approve and to authorize the mayor to sign the deed for 2,500.
Yes.
And I'll put this out here, my church borders that. and I feel it would be fair for me to abstain from this, just because if there's a conflict of interest, so I'm just gonna, not that I wanna get rid of property,
Okay.
but I'm gonna abstain from the
So we
vote.
have a motion to let them purchase it for 2,500. He'll take care of all the legal and everything. We'll run it by Mr. Moore, Attorney Moore. And this is to authorize me to sign for the city for that. Is that right? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We'll do another contract. All right.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, sir. Nice doing business with you.
Very good.
This is a nice folder, I like this folder.
See me later about the folklore about that property. The folklore about that property.
Oh, yes,
I'll
sir.
tell you about it later.
Something to look forward to.
It's haunted.
Wait till he signs it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Never mind.
Do we have to
There's nothing wrong
disclose,
with it.
do we have to disclose that?
No.
Right. All right, okay, we have a renewal of our trash pickup contract, and I think at one time, Mr. Evil, you wanna do some research to see if there are others that might be competitive in the rates, or?
Was I?
I guess you were.
Years ago.
If I was, I have dropped the ball.
You were a lot younger then.
That's right.
All right.
I
You were-
apologize.
Has
I
everybody-
dropped the ball on that, if I was supposed to.
Have you had a chance to look
We were
at their
idealistic at
contract
that time.
that was emailed to you?
I'm still idealistic, come on.
Has everybody had a chance to look at that contract? Is it something we wanna renew?
The same people, TDS, everything.
How long is the contract
It
for?
looked like the contract had expired.
Well, we
and
extended
without-
it.
Okay, the documents that I saw, I don't think had a renewal.
It was a separate thing that we brought.
Remember there was like
in.
an emergency renewal or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
back in the summer?
So,
My
What did you
suggestion,
thought?
if it's coming up and needs to be renewed, I think you probably should put it out to bid again.
okay, I don't know, we can do that.
I mean, I
Again,
I was assuming it did get put out to bid, so
Well, not yet,
Oh,
no, it's
okay.
coming up for renewal. That was what you were gonna, it was, you were checking.
let's put it out to bid.
When's it renew?
Expire.
I'll make a
Or
motion
when's
to
it
put
ex-
it out to bid.
Well, wait,
I'll
when does it expire though?
The documents that I saw looked like it had already expired and had not, it was,
Is
I
it
think,
March?
for
I think
240.
it's March.
I remember that. We had that
It's March.
emergency,
I think it's
we're gonna
March.
renew it.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to do originally, my memory's
Feeling
coming
this
back
out,
finally.
right.
We wanted to put it out to bid this time, so I'll second Sam's motion to
Alright.
put it out to
We
bid.
have a
Okay.
motion to put it out to bid, and second, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? All right, opposed. There we go, all right. We're gonna put that out. to
Two
bid.
more hours will be done.
All right, this has been raised, this rental properties owner's water deposit was raised by a cashier. She observed that when a person who owns several rental properties come in, every time, Julie, you tell them, you know better than I do.
I'll be glad to.
Okay,
This is something that's been going on since I've been here. We have several people in the city who own multiple properties, and they have renters in those properties. Our policy is, when you put service in your name, you pay the deposit, whether you rent or own. So what these owners are coming into is, if they have a current renter in their building, or apartment complex, or home, however they've got their rental set up, that renter moves out, they have to put the water back in their name to clean, get it updated, ready to rent to someone else. We require them to pay another deposit and meter fee each time they do that. It's a continual cycle. Even when I was doing the cashier position, somebody had said that Upper Cumberland, like, I don't know if the front end, if they charge just a flat fee, and then when they turn it on each time to clean, they're not charged anything extra. It's a lot of paperwork on our end. We don't care. But that owner is losing $50 each time that they put the water back in their name. They're paying for the bill for the water that they use. But they are losing money on having to pay that deposit each month because they don't get the meter fee back. We retain that here. So what we're asking is if the council would allow for them not to have to pay that deposit when they put that water back in their name to clean.
the renter does pay though, right, each time.
Yeah, the renter will pay their rental deposit each time that the renter
And
rents.
that's how
So
much
this
it-
would apply to basically any renter, not just a specific few renters.
Landlords.
Landlords, yeah.
Not, the renters are always gonna pay
That-
the
I'm
deposit.
sorry, yeah, I apologize, yeah,
So,
landlords.
say for instance, if Josh owned 10 properties here in Carthage, and each time one of his renters moved out, he put the water back in his name to clean it, get it ready to rent to the next person. We're
We
currently
remove
charging
that, we
him.
remove that charge.
Yeah, we're currently charging him each time they do that.
My,
And a
my
year's
question
time,
is
that could
that,
be multiple.
that applies to any landlord, not just this,
Right.
these specific ones.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, any landlord that we have that owns, that has rental property.
And it could be an apartment complex.
Yeah, we have several different apartment complexes.
We'll make a motion that we do away with that then.
Second.
Okay, what are we doing away with?
The fact that they have to get a new
Okay.
deposit every
Deposit each
time.
time.
Okay, we have,
Julie, is that a written policy that you have? I mean, is it gonna be easy to document this change in the policy so that
Well, now, it is on, a resolution or an ordinance.
that's what I was,
I don't know how that
I think
is.
it's in the ordinance? Okay.
So
So-
rewrite that part then.
Let's put that on for amendment, because I wasn't aware if it was just in a policy or a
It's on,
resolution. in
it's on the
ordinance.
board in there in the
Okay, so
office.
if it's an ordinance, we'll need to do it on 2 readings, and we can look at that language and make that language suggestion for
okay,
next time.
okay. So Mr. Moore will bring the language that we need to do that, okay.
But go ahead and vote on it. I think there was a motion in a second.
Yeah, there was.
So do we have to vote that it's a change to the resolution to specify that?
No.
Or to our ordinance?
No, I'll make it
Okay,
in
all right.
the ordinance.
All in favor of that change?
Aye.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
All righty. Councilman Petty, you had a meeting you wanted to tell us about.
I'll make this very brief. I hope everyone got the, I sent about a 1 or 1.5 page notes on the meeting we had. Dennis Tennant, who is the director of off-campus studies for Tennessee Tech University, developed several years ago something called Tech Ready. It is a 1-day seminar, and the grants ran out to keep doing it. So they're going to use a similar format with a keynote speaker and breakout sessions. This year it's going to be called the Rural Economic Summit, to be held Thursday afternoon, May 14th, and all day Friday, the 15th. If I'm not mistaken, the cost of it per person is something like $25, but if anyone can attend, it's very valuable information and it's a good way to network with other places too.
So when is it again, sir?
It will be Thursday afternoon, May 14th, probably start around noon, and all day Friday the 15th of May.
And it's where?
It will be held, they're not exactly sure. Last year was at the Student Center up there, and school, I think, possibly will be out, so they'll probably have it there, but we'll just have to check and see. Possibly to be at school nursing.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you, okay. And now, Mr. Jacob, finally got to you, so you, thank you for coming, you've got something you want to share with us?
Well, good news, bad news. We've gotten through the things that we think need to be cleaned up in your charter. And some suggestions to make it work functionally better. The only problem I have is that this afternoon, our attorney, as she was working on it, her computer died, and so the whole document is somewhere that we can't find. Which is why I was late getting here this evening, because we were scrambling with our IT people to try to find it without any success. Fortunately for us, well, mostly us, our attorney has one of those kind of photographic memories, so that she is going to work on it and recreate what we had gotten through, what she and I had got through, and have that document for you first of next week. That's her pledge to me, and I'll give that to you by Monday, Tuesday morning at the latest. Now,
And I think there are a number of changes that you're gonna see from us in terms of cleaning it up and making it actually work better than it currently does. But we want to share that with you all sooner rather than later. I think I mentioned to you when we kind of talked about this before, the legislature is going to get out early this year. They're shooting for early April at this point, for a number of reasons, but they want to get out. And frankly, at this point in time, you're still okay, because it only takes a resolution for you all to approve and get it sent off to Nashville. And that, your representatives can do that, process that fairly quickly. But we need to get it in your hands, and you all need to sit down and talk about, we want this, we don't want that, we'd rather have something else over here. And you probably want to do that maybe sometime before your next regular board meeting. And I say that because if we can have that kind of conversation, maybe towards the end of this month, that we could have a resolution, perhaps have a resolution for you all to look at for your regular board meeting at the 1st of March, or the 5th of March. And then that can be carried to the state representative and the state senator, probably with the next day.
You're suggesting like having a workshop and
Yeah.
having some votes on at the workshop? Put that as an agenda item?
Yeah.
Okay.
And in the middle of the week, towards the end of the month, works well in terms of our schedules. So that kind of leaves it up to you all. If there's some days in there that work for you all. Because I also know you've got to advertise it as a meeting and all those good things.
But the
One more
20th,
special call meeting.
how's the 20th look for everybody?
26.
It's a Thursday.
There's a workshop necessarily called.
20 is okay with you? Okay.
For this kind of thing.
20 go with you?
That's killing our budget,
When?
these meetings.
When?
Maybe the earlier, the better. I'm good on that day, the earlier the better.
Because you're gonna be talking about.
I'm old.
27,
making, you know, decisions.
20,
So you gotta-
Sam and Bill, 20 good with y'all, the 20th?
I'll make it good.
What day of the week is that?
27th.
Thursday.
The 20th.
Yeah, that's better.
Thursday the 20th.
The
Could we
20th.
do 5
Bill?
o'clock?
20th or 27th, because I have.
Yeah, we're gonna,
Talking
that one right
Yeah.
Okay.
The 20th,
So I
okay.
have,
So I'm motion for 5 o'clock on the 20th. We do our workshop and let people out.
Can y'all come after work on that? Jacob, can y'all?
Who, me?
Yeah. I mean, she can
As long
wait.
as long as I can drive.
Okay, no, I didn't know, you said during the week, I didn't know if you meant work-wise.
Did somebody make a
So
motion?
we're talking about Thursday, February
Call
20th?
So add it.
It's a special called meeting?
Yes.
Is this the February 20th?
February
Mhm.
20th,
Okay.
5 o'clock, special call meeting.
okay.
I promise this will be the last special call meeting I ever.
They're gonna hold you.
Sam loves special call meetings. Look at his face.
I can be here or I'm
Look at this right here.
Which is Wednesday.
Okay, so any further discussion about that? Thursday, the 20th, 5 PM, we'll send out notices for that. So-
We have a motion, do we need a second?
Oh, wait,
We are,
what was-
yeah.
what was-
If I
We
might,
gonna vote?
when you get, because I have all your all's email addresses, as you get an opportunity to look at this, if you have questions about any of what is in there or what's not, give me a call, and when you have time, and we can talk, and I can talk about what it is, or help find what you wanna look at. And bring that to the 20th meeting.
So we have a motion and a second to meet on the 20th for a special call meeting at 5 PM. And any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We will- Okay, last item is concerning oversight committees, Mr. Councilman.
All right, y'all got 2 hours? I'm just
No.
kidding. Actually, I got a better suggestion here for y'all. I'd like to just motion that we table this discussion and move it to the number one agenda item on the next month's meeting, because I'd really like to get y'all's input and focus in on it where we're not all tired and burned out. Is that acceptable with y'all?
I like that idea,
Okay, so
but I have a suggestion too.
Go
For everybody to
ahead.
think about. I don't know that we necessarily need a separate oversight committee for all the different departments. Have one, see how it works for the time being. If we feel like we need to have more, we can do
Yeah,
it.
I think that's definitely. I mean, I want to get. I think we all just get everybody's ideas out there, and I'm not. Yeah, I'm open to it. You know, I tried. One person I don't think I had your number. I tried to call y'all just to let y'all know. You know, be open about it and stuff. So, but yeah, I'd like to do that.
I'd
That'd
like
be
to
great.
add something to the equation, because the supervisors, I think, might like to have some input to that too, since it's involving them and their departments. So I'd like to open it up whenever we discuss it, to them having as part of that discussion.
Is that going to unfinished business or new business?
That'll go to the unfinished business on the next agenda. So I got a motion to move it to number one on the unfinished business.
We're going to move it to first item in unfinished business, and then we're going to open it up to the supervisors having comments at the same time. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I saw y'all's horse drop when I said 2 hours.
Don't matter.